15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
All right, I wouldn't go penciling the Chargers into the Super Bowl just yet. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Big news finally comes down, Perloff. Jim Harbaugh is the hire for the Los Angeles Chargers. Listen, it's a good hire. It's a great hire. He's the crown jewel of this coaching hiring cycle. If you will allow me, I don't think it's a fait accompli that this is going to work out the way that Charger fans may think.
Ooh, I'm count me as one of those Charger fans because I do not see how this doesn't work out. Explain.
Okay, well, Jim Harbaugh is a proven winner. He's won every single place he's gone, going back to San Diego, Stanford. Obviously, with the 49ers, goes to the Super Bowl, almost wins. Ball in your hand, last play in the game type stuff. Loses to his brother, then goes to Michigan. Eventually gets on track, and he goes out a winner in Michigan.
Yeah, so, okay. Right. I feel good as a Chargers fan.
Yes, no, I get it.
Okay.
But the Chargers are a unique type of situation. And there are a couple things that even the best head coach does not really have control over. Even somebody who's been likely given the keys to the castle like we expect Jim Harbaugh has with the Chargers. Here's one thing a coach cannot control. Injuries. There is nothing a coach can do that's going to make Justin Herbert less injury, like not miss games. Played in 13 games this year. There is nothing he can do to keep Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who are still signed for another year, on the field. These two guys have played. Keenan Allen's played 23 of 34 games in the last 2 years. Mike Williams has played 16 of 34 games. Joey Bosa has played 14 games over the last 2 years. There's nothing that a great coach can do to keep guys on the field. So that'd be my first thing. The injuries that have been a bugaboo for the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh can't do anything about that.
Yes. Jim Harbaugh himself can't do anything about that, but there's clearly something systematic. And we know specifically a Chargers staff member almost killed his quarterback, that Tyrod Taylor, and that's why Justin Herbert got his first start. So there's a lot of reports out there that Jim Harbaugh is going to bring his strength coach, who apparently is really the number 2 guy, not Sharon Moore in Michigan, named Ben Herbert. And the fact that his name is the same name as the quarterback, Justin Herbert, to me seems like kismet. I think there's something going on here. I think you're right. Injury is luck, and the bad luck has been with the Chargers. But I do think that the way the building has been run has not facilitated good health. I think that can turn around. I mean, it's just a matter of time. You can't be this injured this long. Everybody, there's no franchise that's going to have 25 years of injuries. Eventually, you get lucky and you stay healthy. So this could definitely, that is not a reason to bet against Harbaugh for me. I understand the past, but he's going to get rid of some of these older players, and I think that does not scare me as a Chargers fan. What else
I'm just saying these are things that a head coach has no control over. And this is why Jim Harbaugh, this is not a 100% slam dunk that this is going to work.
This guy, Ben Herbert, I was reading about him last night, is supposed to be the man. He is Harbaugh's right hand, and he works these guys. And one of the reasons that Michigan got so good was because of their weight room. So maybe they get into better shape. They do more injury prevention things. I think you can exert a little control over that.
Okay. They're also, just on that point, which I wasn't going to bring up, but since you brought it up, I know this because I know some trainers who work in this area.
Yeah.
It is a very different job to be a college trainer than to be a professional trainer. Because first of all, a lot of the pros have their own guys. And so some of them don't want to listen to your off-season workout plans or things like that because they've got their own tailored workout plan.
Okay.
And in college, nobody's got their own tailored workout plan. They're all going to follow you. It's a lot easier to get buy-in in that area in college than it is the pros. Okay, that's a little digression there.
You say no to Ben Herbert and Jim Harbaugh when they walk in that way room. Those guys are going to come in and you're going to do what they say. But go ahead.
I get a six-pack, finally. Okay, another thing that Jim Harbaugh is now taking over for the LA Chargers. Great hire, but a couple of holes I could just poke in this thing. $45 million over the salary cap in 2024. It's a sign of a team that's been run poorly, that your quarterback salary, the big kahuna, hasn't even kicked in yet, and you're already way over the cap. And you haven't won. Like it's not like you're winning. This isn't the Seattle Seahawks who were winning with Russell Wilson on a rookie contract way back in the day and just paying everybody on the defense. You're $45 million over the cap, and Justin Herbert doesn't even get expensive until 2025. Like his cap hit this upcoming season is $19 million. It doesn't spike to 37, then 47, then 58, then 71. We haven't even gotten to the expensive Herbert years yet, and you're still in salary cap hell.
Yeah,
and you haven't won a damn thing.
The word dead cap is a little too ominous for me, but they're going to have a lot of it. They're going to, so you're going to have to make some tough decisions. You're going to have to get rid of Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack's in his
He's one of the guys who stays healthy.
He's in his mid-30s. I mean, first of all, Mike Williams, just get rid of him. You can make some immediate huge cuts. Mike Williams coming off an ACL, former first-round pick wide receiver. He's gone. Mack's gone. Bosa could be gone because he can't stay healthy either. You're going to get young. That's a reality of this, but there's still a lot of talent in the building, even if you get rid of those old guys.
Okay, I'm just saying that's a lot of gymnastics for a team that just gave Jim Harbaugh all the power, and you haven't even hired a GM yet. Yep. So, okay, you got some things to work out here with the salary cap. Also, when you look back at the 49ers' great run, I think one of the things that Jim Harbaugh gets a lot of credit for, and rightfully so, is he is really good at putting other good coaches around him. I think John Harbaugh is good at this too.
Yep.
And this was the tandem for the great run in San Francisco where they made 3 straight NFC Championship games. Vic Fangio and Greg Roman.
Yeah, and both who are available.
Vic Fangio just got hired by your Philadelphia
Not
Eagles.
done yet, is it?
Okay. Well, I mean, this feels so far down the line that it basically got reported while the Nick Sirianni is doing his press conference yesterday.
That's okay.
And if Vic Fangio actually wants to be like close to his family who's in Pennsylvania, going to Los Angeles as opposed to Philly doesn't really satisfy that.
Okay.
And then Greg Roman, who is out there, but is Greg Roman the right offensive coordinator for Justin Herbert? He's not a running quarterback like Colin Kaepernick. Josh Allen was with Greg Roman. Lamar Jackson was with Greg Roman. That's not Justin Herbert.
I'm not a big Greg Roman fan, and I know you are not either. It feels like he kind of wears down his quarterbacks. That being said, there's a lot of options. Vic Fangio is probably a lot different coach than he was in 2010 in San Francisco. There's a million Vic Fangio clones out there. Just hire one of those.
Okay,
I'm not
just had one this season. How'd it go for your Eagles?
It wasn't great, but Jonathan Gannon was okay in Arizona. He's a Vic Fangio guy as well. I'm not worried about that. You're right; they do have a great skill of finding coordinators, so there's no reason they can't find more here. So that's not scary. They got Jim Harbaugh walking around. What do you care about your coordinators?
All right, and then I'm going to bring up the final point.
Then, by the way, I'm gonna counter all of this and tell you why I'm buying a Chargers hat tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm surprised you didn't walk in with one. Another bandwagon for you. This is Jim Harbaugh being hired by the Chargers. I'm poking some holes in this because everyone says, oh, this is the slam dunk hire. What could go wrong? Basically red carpet right to the Super Bowl. There's a reason why it hasn't worked out with the Spanos family. We talk about Jerry Jones and something being sort of off in the building. The Spanos family might not be doing weekly radio hits on, LA, KTLA or whatever, but they are an issue. And either they're the type of ownership family, and I know the fans in San Diego absolutely despise them because they moved the team, but they're the type of family that can never get it right. They do nothing when you need to do something, and they do something when you should do nothing. This is the most infuriating type of owner to have because they'll sit on their hands when clearly changes need to be made, and then they'll overreact when change is not needed, like firing Marty Schottenheimer after a 14-2 season. Yet you let other things crumble in the building and sit by and do nothing. It is infuriating to have ownership like that. And this is the type of ownership that they have. So there's a reason why the term chargering exists. This is because they lose in close games. That's part of it. But also because something is off in the building. And Jim Harbaugh good luck to you.
Yeah.
Because maybe he's the guy to turn it around, but you've got years and years and decades of history that would tell you that this is not an absolute given.
That's why this is the best hire, because you needed a guy who was going to answer to no one to bring in. This is why the Cowboys should have gone for Jim Harbaugh, because Jim Harbaugh does not care about the owner. He does not care about the GM. He is going to run the show. This is perfect. Get a guy who can totally box out the Spanoses. And I hate to say it, they made a good decision here. So this was their decision, and they wooed him.
After 3 bad ones.
Right, but they wooed him and said they were smart enough to realize we're going to give the one coach who wants total control. The reason the Vikings and all these other teams didn't hire Harbaugh is because Harbaugh said it's going to be my way or the highway.
Right.
So the Spanoses are smart. They said, okay, we realize being interventionist owners doesn't work. We're going to give this job to the one coach who is not going to listen to the owners. Harbaugh is not going to listen to the Spanoses. And if they're going to say stuff, it's probably why it will only last 4 or 5 years,
right,
because he's going to drive them nuts, because he is not going to let them influence the team.
Well, I was wondering, he signed a 5-year deal reportedly for Adam Schefter. Does he see the end of that deal? Probably not. I mean,
he does.
He just said 9 years in Michigan.
He does, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because he will be in a Super Bowl in that. And by the way, it could happen fast. And I'll tell you why. First of all, Jim Harbaugh, if anything, is an opportunist. He knows a good situation when he sees one.
That is true.
He's leaving Michigan right as all the good players leave and gigantic NCAA violations come down. And
he just won a title.
And he won a title. So he looked at the landscape of the NFL, and obviously, you'll admit, Justin Herbert's sitting there. So he gets his quarterback. Not only does he get his quarterback, he is entering a team that has talent everywhere and the easiest schedule in the NFL. They're technically 5th in the strength of schedule, but the way the teams around them that they're playing, they play no one next year.
Except for the Chiefs, Perloff. You have Michael Jordan in your division. You have Bowser.
But the Chiefs have a first place schedule where the Chargers get a lot of Titans. They play the NFC South, Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans. They are winning double-digit games easily this year. He came into San Francisco with just as lost as the Chargers are. The San Francisco, after Bill Walsh, went into 15 years of complete, utter mediocrity or worse. Then he came in, won 13-3 his first year. That could happen again this year. I'm telling you, he's going to whoop this schedule. And the fact that Denver and Vegas are not good. Who are the quarterbacks? Who's the quarterback you're playing for either of those teams? He's going to be able to beat those teams. And the Chiefs, guess what? The Chiefs are not ascending. They are descending. Travis Kelce could retire.
Oh, but you can't say that when they have Mahomes
and
Reed.
Descending. You saw it this year. They took a major step back.
And they're in the AFC Championship game. This is what a step back for the Chiefs looks like. They're one game away from the Super Bowl.
They lost to the Raiders this year. You're telling me this is a Chiefs team?
That happens.
Take Travis out of that picture, and I'm telling you right now that this AFC West is more wide open. And the problem is the AFC playoffs are going to be really tight, but they're making it. They're winning double-digit games right here.
Okay, Harbaugh's so how far are they going? Say, if you think this is such a great hire, say it right now.
I think they're going to be 12-5 and get to the divisional round. At least.
Lose in the divisional round.
Well, the problem with the AFC playoffs is going to be an incredible battle royale next year. You're going to have the Ravens, the Chiefs. I do, but that's pretty good. I mean, I'm guaranteeing you 12 wins, maybe 13. I'm telling you, this Chargers team is going to win a ton of games. Harbaugh's strength is he gets in there and he helps the quarterback by running the ball and by playing good defense. Now look at their offense. They have a great offensive line already. Rashawn Slater is a star at left tackle. They have this kid Zion Johnson at guard, and they sit at number 5 to get another superstar right tackle. They are going to have this great offensive line and control the ball, and hopefully they'll have some talented players left on defense after the salary cap cuts. This is setting up beautifully for Jim Harbaugh.
This sounds very much like the conversation we had when Sean Payton was hired. And it was Sean Payton was going to go into Denver, and this is perfect because he's going to coach another short quarterback that's going to, Russell Wilson's like Drew Brees, the smaller guys. He's going to fix it and look at all the talent. And then they went on a spending spree. That was different. Mm-hmm. They went on a spending spree in free agency, and it couldn't have been more dysfunctional, as we learned. Despite a 5-game winning streak in the middle of the season, it turned out everything was just crumbling behind the scenes. Now, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think the talent level is the same. I think the Broncos have a very overrated roster.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? We said this was going to be a no-doubter, and we all convinced ourselves this was going to be a no-doubter, and it made sense on paper. Sometimes these things don't always come to fruition. I'm just saying there's a couple things you can't overcome. Injury history, Chargers history, owners of the team. It'd be very hard for any coach, even Jim Harbaugh, the amazing Jim Harbaugh. This is a lot stacked up against him. At least the 49ers did have a winning pedigree. I mean, you had to squint to see it, but it was still there.
I'm predicting they win the division. They're gonna take the Chiefs this year.
Wow. Are we writing all this stuff down?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. The Chiefs, I'm just looking at the schedule. The Chiefs get basically the Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills, whereas the Chargers are going to get the Titans and the New England Patriots. This last place schedule is going to be such a boon for Harbaugh. He's going to be able to learn on the fly, and he's just an instant success guy. This history thing, what team did he take over that had good history? The Niners were a mess. Stanford had never won anything. He was at the University of San Diego, not the good San Diego, right. Not the Marshall Faulk San Diego, the University of San Diego, won there. And then at Michigan got killed by Ohio State for 2 decades straight. And he came in and completely changed it.
Well,
He is a total culture changer.
Let's not rewrite the history of what happened. Harbaugh came in, struggled, could not beat Ohio State, had to basically needed Urban Meyer to get fired / retire, had to start stealing signs, and then got a lot better.
It took 4 years, but you have to admit, it looked like Michigan was never going to beat Ohio State, and he flipped that rivalry. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
couple
bottom
things
line,
had to happen. That's like you're yada-yadaing over a little bit there.
But it's still an incredible feat that they've beaten Ohio State. If I told you in 2017 Michigan was going to have a 3-game win streak over Ohio State, you would have laughed. He is a total culture changer. That's a cliche that I don't really love. He's that guy. And I really, getting back to your point, I think he's the one coach who can keep the Spanoses off this team.
Stiff arm him?
Yeah, I think he is. They're really lucky to get him. There are a lot of teams that could have had the same situation. And I think he wanted California. I think LA is attracted to him. Man, this is A+ hire, a home run, and it's going to be instantly successful.
Well, we want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS. Perloff says instantly successful. I'm more dubious because of some of the obstacles facing you when you are the Chargers head coach. Again, 855-212-4CBS. Jay Bernal's in our chat if you want to watch the show. Jim Harbaugh will build a wagon in LA the same way he did in San Francisco a decade ago and the same way he did at Michigan. The Chargers fans deserve to be ecstatic because this will be a success.
Well, I love that term, build a wagon.
I don't see it the same way. Hear from you, 855-212-4227. We say good morning to our incredible CBS Sports Radio affiliates who we just adore. You can listen to the show on Sirius XM channel 158 or the absolutely free to download Odyssey app, which is crystal clear if you're driving through back roads or what have you. This thing is dynamite. Coming up, who has the edge when it comes to the Niners and the Lions? We're breaking down that matchup next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free. Sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. So, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I was so excited when the Chargers signed Jim Harbaugh because I've always wanted to wear powder blue. It's my favorite uniform. And now, now that they have Harbaugh, I'm full on that Chargers bandwagon. Add me. I don't know. Are you counting how many bandwagons I'm on?
We lost count like 5 bandwagons ago.
And you're wearing sort of a lavender powder blue right now. I feel like
this was in no way because of Jim Harbaugh signing. I wanted him for the Bills. You guys know that. They want to make it a change. But I'm just saying you have things that you cannot, that any head coach, it's going to be hard for them to overcome, whether it's Harbaugh, Belichick, whether it's been any of these guys, which is your roster gets injured a lot. You are $45 million over the salary cap in your big quarterback contract hasn't even kicked in yet. And you have a meddling ownership family.
Who's got it better than us? Let's go. Well, Jim Harbaugh didn't care about any of that.
Ohio
you
State.
kidding me? This dude took the Michigan team that was kind of they had no chance for 30 years and won a title. All that history does not matter. And look at the Lions. I mean, they beat history too. Eventually history changes. This is the time. This is the perfect hire. And you're right. The Bills, the Eagles, the Cowboys, they all should have gone after Harbaugh with everything they had, but the Chargers got him. And it's rare to say the Chargers are lucky. I think the Chargers got lucky this time.
We don't usually put those two words together, Chargers and lucky. And the one thing about Michigan, let's not pretend like Michigan wasn't still a blue blood. I know they had fallen on hard times with Brady Hoke and with Rich Rodriguez, but they were still always this sort of sleeping giant. And we'll talk more about the Michigan side of this and how it impacts the
Wolverines. They
lost
17 of 18 to Ohio State.
No, I get that, but it's not like they weren't getting any recruits. Last time they'd won a national championship was 1997. It wasn't 1977. You still had good talent who was going to Michigan. Yes, they were losing to Ohio State, but they weren't total bottomed out. They weren't winning 2 games and 3 games and stuff like that.
The Final Four started in 2014, and until Harbaugh got there, they didn't even come close. No, I disagree with that. I think Harbaugh turned that around pretty radically, and I think he's going to do the same thing here.
In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio War, Bucky Cheese says, they're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Spanos family. Are they scary? They're meddling.
Dean Spanos could walk in today, and I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I have no idea
what he looks like or who he is.
But maybe some vampire vibes.
I got to be honest, because the Chargers are sort of a loss for. There's no fans. There's really no media who covers them. So the Spanoses are quite mysterious. We just generally, they're always talked about negatively in NFL circles without really knowing many of the details.
Again, they're the type of ownership group where they do nothing when you need to do something, and they do something when you should do nothing, and it's infuriating.
And also, we've heard this from many fans. Like, San Diego hates the Chargers now.
Yeah, we're on in San Diego.
And LA has not embraced the Chargers yet. I'm curious if that changes with Jim Harbaugh there, but it is an odd NFL franchise because they're a bit homeless. Like, even these home games are not Chargers home games.
No, it's a road game for them every time they're home.
I wonder if Jim Harbaugh changes that. I mean, that's why, from the Spanos angle, this was a no-brainer. You had no choice. You had to bring in this guy because you're competing with the Rams in LA, and it doesn't seem like anybody cared.
We're going to break down the 49ers and the Lions in a minute. Rich, though, is in Chicago. Good morning, Rich. What's up?
Hey, guys and gals. I was going to throw this out there. It's kind of ironic that Harbaugh ended up in San Diego. I think I mentioned this to you guys some time back, that the Bears were wooing him really hard when Eberflus was dead man walking in the first 10 games.
Yep.
He pulled it out. Bears got hot, fired the defensive coordinator in season. Then he fired 5 coaches at the end of the season, including his offensive coordinator, just to save his own job for next year. A lot of people are disappointed that he's not here, being an ex-Bear player as well. But here's the reason.
By the way, Bears making a huge mistake that they didn't just go all the way and clear out Eberflus too, and it's a terrible way to have to hire coordinators when you've got basically a lame duck head coach. The Bears are making the same mistakes they always make.
They do, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm kind of between you and Perloff on the assessment of the Chargers. I think they're going to be tremendous, but in a 2 or 3 year window, and here's why. A lot of people don't realize, and I had to dig this out because it surprised me, they have compensatory picks coming to them for losing a couple of free agents last year that will kick in for 2024. And they're drafting 5th in order this year with their 5-12 record. So they can load up on draft picks. And something that, when you talk about compensatory, this shocked me. They'll get more compensatory. They have 20 free agents. So when they're over the cap, when they're done with basically breaking down the over-the-hill big money guys, like, Mac is one.
Yeah.
The receiver you pointed out is another.
Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, they're both getting paid a ton.
Eckler's gone.
Well, Rich, here's another thing, and I'm glad you brought up the draft part of this. And Rich, great to hear from you. Thank you. I'm glad you brought up the draft part because this is a place maybe where I will give it to you that Jim Harbaugh might have an advantage. You're coming from college where you just watched all of these great college players up close. I mean, Harbaugh's going to be making these picks, right?
Probably. I mean, they had some. I read a story. They had some trouble drafting in San Francisco after that initial flurry. They got Alden Smith, who was amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of injured players.
Yeah, no. They started to bomb. Trent Baalke took over their drafts, and they really started to fail. I think that's why Harbaugh got out of there. But he does know the players. Here's the thing. They sit at number 5. And who's the one player they need? I mean, it's obvious. Anybody, they need Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody needs Marvin Harrison Jr. Can you get him at 5? Do you even have to trade up to get him? Or do you just play it safe and do right tackle? But that's a great spot for him to be in. Here's the thing. Chicago, L.A., name a better quarterback developer than Jim Harbaugh. He's had such success with quarterbacks that I think every team should have gone for him. Chicago should have. You're absolutely right. This Eberflus solution is not going to work. Although Shane Waldron, their new offensive coordinator,
doesn't matter. They're all going to be out.
He's pretty good. I got to tell you, he is not bad. So anyway, regardless, you're right. Chicago should have gone all in for Harbaugh. I totally agree with that. But LA got him. That's why you should be excited, more excited for this hire.
I am excited. Listen, even if it doesn't work out, you justify the process. Of course, you had to do it. I just think there's some potential stumbling blocks along the way. All right, we will get into this Niners-Lions game. Peter Schwartz is here with an update for us. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Maggie. And we are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today and find out if we could save you hundreds on your car insurance. After guiding his alma mater, Michigan, to a national championship, Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL. After agreeing to a 5-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers, Harbaugh racked up an 86-75 record over his 9 seasons at Michigan. Prior to that, he was the head coach of the 49ers for 4 seasons, guided San Francisco to a 44-19-1 record, as well as an appearance in Super Bowl 47. In that game, he lost to his brother, John Harbaugh, and the Ravens, and they'll meet in the 2024 season. Chargers and Ravens will hook up at SoFi Stadium.
Okay, so
everybody will be rooting for the Ravens.
How cute is the NFL going to get with this one? Season opener?
Sunday night, somewhere?
I mean, you probably week 1 this thing, right?
Someone said Thanksgiving. Little homecoming game, Harbaugh.
Together.
Yeah, all right.
Who's got it better than us? Turkey. It'd be
Turkey doesn't have it better
much
than
more
anybody.
convenient for the Harbaughs. I would write Goodell and say, if we could do this at Thanksgiving, everybody's together, John and Jim and Jack.
What day is Christmas this year? I mean, they basically play on every holiday.
Yeah, they play. It'd be nicer. But wait, you said it'd be the opener?
Could have. I mean,
well, don't they have to put the Super Bowl?
No, you mean the Sunday night opener?
I'm saying week 1.
Right, the Thursday night opener has to be
the
someone
Super
who's
Bowl
in the
champ.
Well, I'm just connecting some dots here because it's Super Bowl champ. Am I just hearing a prediction from Maggie Gray?
There you go.
Are we saying John Harbaugh wins it all?
I mean, I've been telling you guys, I
But
think
they
the
would have
Ravens
to
are the
be
best
home.
team.
They would have to be home.
Oh, that's
Generally,
true.
there was only the one difference, and it was actually involved the Ravens.
Yeah, because of a Jewish holiday.
No, I think because the Orioles wouldn't move their game. I think that was the case the last time the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
That was the case. Yeah,
They didn't get the opener for the next day?
No, they had an opener, but they were on the road. They couldn't host the opener because the Orioles, I guess Peter Angelos, wouldn't move his game to the afternoon or reschedule it.
Well, everyone who knows Peter Angelos knows he's a reasonable guy.
Very.
Yeah, he's got a great reputation there in Baltimore.
But you could have the same thing happen again.
I think the NFL is going to get cute on this one. They want a big rating. They want Harbaugh versus Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I'd do it early.
That being said, if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are still together, we're going to see them week 1, week 2, every week.
Yeah.
With Harbaugh now with the Chargers, Michigan reportedly focusing on naming offensive coordinator and offensive line coach Sherrone Moore as their new head coach. Moore was the Wolverines head coach for 4 games this past season when Harbaugh was suspended, including the final 3 of the regular season. The Raiders formally introduced new general manager Tom Telesco, as well as new head coach Antonio Pierce at a press conference yesterday. Telesco pumped up to be working with Pierce.
I'm really excited to partner with AP right here. You can tell in the interview, right? It was really my interview, but you could tell he has that leadership trait that a head coach has to have. And it's really, to me, it feels more like, not so much follow me, but join me, which I like in football, because he's right in it with the rest of us. And I think, your football team takes on the identity of your head coach. And that's what we're going to have here. That's what we're going to build around. I'm excited to start this partnership.
I think Tom Telesco is just happy he gets another job. Again, we're talking about the Chargers, the team Jim Harbaugh is taking over. How are you $45 million over the salary cap when you're not paying your quarterback and you stink?
terrible management.
It's just awful. Like
Terrible.
you should at least have something to show for it, which is not one of the biggest collapses in playoff history against the Jags last year.
He has made a lot better draft picks than the Raiders in the last 10 years, so I'll give him that.
Well, he needs to get a
It's
quarterback.
kind of a low bar.
He needs to get a quarterback. When the last time when the Chargers were drafting a quarterback, they said, Tua or Herbert, whoever falls to us. We're cool. It worked out.
Wow, by the way, I
We got
would
very
like
lucky in that regard.
Yeah, they did.
Really? Tua just led the league in passing. He would have killed it with that in L.A. But regardless, I mean,
if I gave you Tua or Herbert next 5 years, who would
I take Herbert, but Tua probably would have led the league in passing with the Chargers.
That offensive line got crushed last year. Tua, in all the injuries he dealt with, all the injuries they had in 2022, he wouldn't. I don't think he'd be the Charger quarterback.
I mean, Justin Herbert only survived 13 games.
Right.
And that dude's like one of the toughest guys. Like, remember 2 years ago, it basically broke his rib
Tua
against the
behind that
Chiefs?
offensive line is scary. The Dolphins actually have a good offensive line.
I just think Tua in warm weather, I'm okay. That's all I'm saying. Good
point.
Closer to Hawaii, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, regardless, they got Justin Herbert, so you can't kill Telesco for that pick just because he said afterwards that he would have taken Tua.
I love it. Tua closer to Hawaii. Like, he didn't play in Alabama. Like, he's been away from home for a long time.
Well, warm weather, though, Alabama.
That's true.
I mean, he had wanted no part of the cold the second half of the season. Anyway.
Well, Pierce was elevated to head coach after serving in an interim role after the firing of Josh McDaniels during the season. Pierce was 5-4. After taking over, he believes he'll work well with Telesco.
I think as this relationship grows, like anything else, it's going to have its ups and downs. We got to be adults and grown men about it. We got to hash it out. We got to understand our roles, check our egos at the door like we do everybody else in the building, but understand that we got a plan. And that plan is to do it together, be hand in hand with it. I mean, obviously, if he goes down, I go down. That's just how it is. That's the nature of the beast. We get it.
Oh, man.
I love this guy.
That's quite the bedside manner, Listen, I think it's probably refreshing for a lot of people. It's like, hey, we're going to have confrontations. Like, we're going to fight.
And the idea that he's like, hey, we sucked and we're going to get fired. And just understand. I think that's why the players love him so much, because he speaks in very plain talk. Like, he's not someone who's trying to BS you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's sometimes the way it goes, but not always. And that's where I think you get a lot of infighting and backbiting that happens between coaches and GMs, because one guy doesn't want to be tethered to the other guy. He doesn't want, hey, if this guy stinks at his job, I don't want it to reflect on me. Judge me for my own performance, not because the GM sucked or the coach sucked.
I know. And whenever you do this hire the coach for the GM thing, it's always skeptical. But I will say, watching that presser, it felt like those two really were. They look like they could be a buddy cop movie. I mean, they really, the vibes were immaculate. That's what we like to say. I mean, it was something that. I don't know if vibes equal wins, but if you were a Raider fan, you probably had to like what you heard.
Well, they just met for the first time on Monday, so I mean, let's pump the brakes on
Honeymoon
the kumbaya
phase,
moment that they had yesterday. So.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm sorry, you are.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do they have
Tim,
name
Tim
tags?
Telesco,
Do they have name tags?
Tom. Oh, Tom Telesco.
Yeah, I don't know if you combine Bill Belichick with the best GM in the world, that Raiders, franchise, I just don't see it working because it's the Raiders. And I like Antonio Pierce too. He's got this Dan Campbell thing going on. Can you guys envision this working? Just my general default is, Mark Davis and the Raiders are not going to work.
Need to see who the quarterback is.
I need to see the rest of the staff too.
But even so, say they get a good quarterback. Do you see a Super Bowl team here? Anytime near?
Maybe. I mean, you're talking about Jim Harbaugh taking over the Chargers and their fortunes changing. If you really hit it out of the park with the quarterback, why not?
And is that the bar for the Raiders?
Because of the organization. That's why not.
Well, it's an obstacle. That's for sure.
The Falcons interviewed former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel for their head coaching vacancy. Vrabel will meet today with the Carolina Panthers. Now to the NBA, an emotional night for the Warriors.
Curry with a dribble outside off the successful challenge, and he buries a triple topside. It's his fifth three of the night. 124-104. And the Warriors have broken it open here with 5:12 to go. And there's the can opening. Tom Tolbert says this one is in the beer cooler.
Kind of a subdued Tim Roy there on Warriors radio.
Yeah, what the heck's going on there?
Yeah,
can though.
Well, the Warriors beat the Hawks 134-112. They returned to game action for the first time since the passing of assistant coach Dejan Milejevic last week. Steph Curry led the way with 25 points.
Coach challenged us to kind of utilize all those emotions and get lost in the game. It was weird at first, but this is our sanctuary. And the competition, like we know Decky would love nothing more than to see us go out there and compete and have fun as best we can. and it feels really good to get a win.
Curry, courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area. Obviously a tough night for the Warriors getting back on the court, but they do their late assistant coach proud with a big win.
Yeah, listen, I don't like to say, real life is not a movie, and I think I don't want to overstate, but the Warriors hadn't been really playing well, and it seemed they were kind of aimless. Does a tragedy like this pull people together? Again, real life is not a movie, so I don't want to make the Disneyify a tragedy that happened, but maybe this is a rallying cry for them. I have no idea. I'm not sure. This looks like a season that's going pretty down. It's kind of spiraling, and you never want something like this awful thing to happen, but it just almost felt like even more bad luck for the Warriors.
I kind of assume the Warriors, like the Lakers, are just waiting till closer to the end of the season to turn it on for the playoffs. Like the Lakers last year,
Might
right?
be too late.
Remember, the Lakers were way worse last year, and they made the conference finals.
That's true.
I feel like the Warriors, you do bring up a good point. Like the Warriors just didn't feel inspired, and now I thought they were going to turn on naturally as the playoffs come along, right? It's the NBA. It's a gigantic season. You got to load manage.
The NBA is trying to really guard against that, but sure.
The Bucks beat the Cavaliers 126-116. Giannis Antetokounmpo with a triple-double, 35 points, 18 boards, 10 assists. Said he was stunned to hear of the firing of head coach Adrian Griffin.
For a coach like Griff, I think from day one, everything was about togetherness. Was always leading this group, into the direction that we set in the beginning of the year. And him not being here at the end of the day, we're human. It hurts.
That is cold-blooded. They were literally dancing on the court last night.
And
literally.
When I said they were unlikable, I was a crazy guy. That was BS.
That is
Giannis.
just outright lies. I mean, just own it. I mean, we were talking about accountability and how this is now on the superstars to, make up for this. Just own it. Say it wasn't working out.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. He might be lying, but it's still adorable. I can say nothing wrong about Giannis.
Pete, if we played that soundbite backwards, do you think there's a message in there like we hated him and we wanted to get him fired?
Paul McCartney's dead. I don't.
Show me a superstar who's not going
to play it backwards. Play it forwards. They're literally shimmying on the court as they're coming out to play.
Show me an NBA superstar who's not getting a coach fired. It's part of the job. I don't know.
That's two for
you're not going to have any heroes left if you only want guys who aren't going to get their coach fired. I mean,
and then dancing on the court. That was look. I have a lot of respect for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Dame Lillard. That was one of the corniest things I've ever seen. The fact that those guys stooped themselves to have a choreographed dance after your coach got fired. LeBron's fired 5 coaches, and he doesn't act like that.
Well, and if he did, we'd absolutely roast him for it, and he'd be enemy number one.
Yeah.
They were basically doing some kind of conga line. I don't even know what that one's called.
It was like a gritty plus a conga line plus a dance circle.
And the hustle was mixed in there.
Don't tell me LeBron is a stranger to corny dances, though. LeBron does as many corny things as any star ever.
LeBron will shiv a coach and be like, yeah, that guy sucked, and that's why we got
had
him
to make
out
a
of here.
change.
So you guys like the openness about...
Yeah, it's just,
need to get him out of here.
These guys are Hall of Famers, and you're dancing because your coach got fired. Last year it was, there's no failure in sports when he was talking about losing to an 8th seed.
It's levels.
And then you get your coach fired because you didn't meet expectations, and now it's we're gonna dance on his grave. What is going on? What is with these guys?
I'm with EJ on this one. That was real. That was a real class.
I just want to keep a list of people that you guys are criticizing. So we got Giannis, we got Tua, we got Dame Lillard. These are the nicest people in sports. You guys got to go after the bad guys, not the good guys.
I have 5 just like them.
Tua? What did we say? Herbert's better?
One of those names definitely did not belong. I didn't want to say
well, that's just this morning. There was some anti-Tua slander.
EJ and I were the only people who still thought the Dolphins were dangerous at the end of the season.
True.
Boy, were we wrong.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get Joey Votto's name into the update. See what Pete says.
I love Joey Votto.
Wait, I heard a rumor you don't like Joey Votto is the single funniest, most likable athlete in the country.
No,
what the heck is your problem with Joey Votto?
First of all, he's Canadian, so not in this country.
Yeah.
Well,
he plays in this country.
Yeah.
Joey Votto?
No, just too much.
You think it's phony?
Yeah, I do. Because there was a few years ago where he was fighting with fans in the crowd.
Pete, is Joey Votto a Hall of Famer?
No.
Wow. What's his batting average?
I mean, I had to deal with Chase Utley getting 22%, and then someone saying, "Oh, hey, he's a Hall of Famer," and then now Joey Votto.
22%. I mean, Chase is on his way. I hate the voting.
Chase Utley and Joey Votto are the exact opposite of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Joey Votto. Everyone hates Chase Utley. But Bilotti, oh man! But you guys, I do like this. It just you guys need to own this. You have a big problem with Giannis right now.
We definitely.
Yeah,
I said I called him a
right
diva
now.
yesterday.
Yeah. And I'm a sucker for a Disney movie, and I watched that series where Giannis was growing up in Greece, and he could do no wrong in my idea.
I can't hate a player that I worked so hard to try and figure out how to pronounce his name.
Oh, now you gotta like him.
So now I like him. Like I can smoothly say his name, so there's no hatred whatsoever.
And he can never.
Kumumbo.
Also, he can never leave now because now you got it nailed down. So he's got to play for at least another 20 years.
Right, that's it. That's it.
To justify the amount of work he put in.
Absolutely. Let me just get to the Australian Open. American Coco Gauff lost to Aryna Sabalenka in straight sets. And one note on the NHL last night in Toronto, Jets and Leafs scoreless in overtime.
Robertson with a couple of elusive moves. Gets it into the corner. Centering back. They score! They score! Austin Matthews wins the game!
That was Joe Bowen on Maple Leafs Radio. Austin Matthews, his NHL leading 39th goal of the season, and the Leafs beat the Jets 1-0.
Peter, thank you so much. Coming up, we've been teasing it. Well, they're going to do it. We're going to break down Lions 49ers bit by bit. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
Jared Goff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, we're going to quickly go through the 49ers-Lions matchup. Perloff, we're going to go bit by bit here, head to head. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
Let's start with the quarterback. Brock Purdy, Jared Goff. Who's got the edge?
Great. So I'm have to decide which Spider-Man in the Spider-Man meme is better. I get Brock Purdy because of the mobility. People underrate the fact that he can run and get a key first down. Jared Goff's not running for anything.
Okay, I'm going to go with Goff simply because if you get to Purdy early and he makes a mistake early, I think it gets in his head. I think Goff has a little better of a chance to rebound from a bad play. Say it's a interception early, even a pick six. I think that Goff can get that. That could really throw Purdy off for the rest of the game.
Definitely.
Okay, let's go to the skill position players here, wide receivers, running backs.
I'm going to go against the grain here and pick the Detroit Lions because, first of all, I have to because I'm the world's biggest Amon-Ra St. Brown fan.
Yeah, you are.
And also, it's the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery combo. Listen, Christian McCaffrey's on the other side. I'm well aware. Legit MVP candidate. I got to tell you right now, San Francisco got run all over by Aaron Jones. And this Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery combo is going to be a problem for them. And I think the receivers are really good on Detroit. I'm counting Debo out. So you take Debo out and the 49ers, great skill position players, just got a little more normal.
Can't count Debo out. The latest is he felt good, was running a little bit at practice. They're going to have a full practice today. I'm assuming he's not going to participate much in it, but I think Debo's going to be out there, even limited. That's why I'm going to take San Francisco skill position players. Kittle, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
McCaffrey, Hall of Famer. Debo,
borderline Hall of Famer.
Amazing. Yeah. And then if things break down, look at Purdy able to get to like Juwan Jennings and find Chris Conley.
Love Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
He made me pause on this. But do I get one of the eligible offensive linemen as a skill position player? Or is that going to be too? Do I get Dan Skipper or Taylor Decker? I got the big guys back.
Yes, because I get Kyle Juszczyk, so I get a
fullback
I love
touchdown.
Okay, the defense between the Lions and the 49ers.
This is actually closer than I thought it would, but obviously the Niners, because you have Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, talk about Hall of Famers. Now, they have not been the same team this year. I don't know what's going wrong. But the Lions have Aiden Hutchinson. If you have enough time, and even Brock Purdy, who's not the biggest downfield thrower, if you have enough time, anybody can pick apart that Lions secondary. I don't think the Niners have as glaring a weakness.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go 49ers on this one, too, just because you can throw on the Lions, and so we're the same there. And finally, coach. Who do you give the edge to between Dan Campbell and Kyle Shanahan?
Gosh, they're almost exact opposites in a sense. I'll go Kyle Shanahan, whose playoff record is improving year by year. He has a lot of experience in this situation. I know he's blown it in this situation, but I think he's going to have a really good game plan offensively to protect Purdy. I give a big edge to the Niners here.
I'm going to go Dan Campbell. More aggressive, maybe better clock management. That's the thing with Kyle in these big games. The clock management, the use of timeouts or lack thereof, it can be maddening. It's the one sort of blight on his record, if you will, or on his resume, rather. And Dan Campbell, love it or hate it, You know what's happening. They're going for it on fourth downs. They're going to be super ultra aggressive. I think that's how you have to play if you want to win this game on the road.
I see a time management mistake coming for Mr. Campbell. You know, he's a wild man there on the sideline. You never know.
What do you think about the matchup? 49ers, Lions. See you guys on the phones. We also get back into Jim Harbaugh. What does this mean for the Michigan Wolverines? Now the coach is leaving for the Chargers. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Jim Harbaugh news rules the day today. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Harbaugh leaves to the Chargers. And that means a big gaping hole here for Michigan, Perloff. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, like a lot of college coaches, became not just the face, but in a lot of ways, one of the faces of college football, along with Nick Saban, along with maybe Deion Sanders. You have one of the titans of college football now exiting on the highest note possible. But where does this really leave Michigan? Now, Sharon Moore, who went 4-0 filling in for Jim Harbaugh for his various suspensions from the NCAA and from the Big Ten, he filled in admirably. He beat Ohio State. He beat Penn State.
Yep.
The two biggest games that Michigan had on the schedule before they got to the Big Ten title game and then the college football playoff, he won for them.
Yeah, he has more top 10 wins than Penn State coach James Franklin.
That's just rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah, he did a great job. You know what I like Sharon Moore? Because he went into that Penn State game, and they have a potential first-round quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, and he said, forget it. Ran the ball 32 straight times. The guy's got a pair. He is
interesting.
He's an interesting guy who obviously is not afraid already to be unorthodox and be his own guy. So I think it's a no-brainer. How can you possibly win your first championship since 1997 and have this guy who clearly connects with the players? You have to promote him.
Okay. I think Sharon Moore did a great job. Yeah. Clearly, he did a great job. But I was surprised, and I am surprised, if things are trending the way they are, which is that he's definitely getting the job. I am surprised that a program like Michigan didn't think to cast a little bit of a wider net. Okay, are you going to just basically take this job and say, all right, everyone, throw your resume, throw all your hats in the ring? But did they do any due diligence behind the scenes? Nobody could say that you're shocked if you're Michigan that Jim Harbaugh is gone. Hell, he almost got the Denver Broncos job last year, and he was with the Vikings on signing day 2 years ago. So unless you think Sharon Moore has been the guy for a couple years now, I think you do yourself a disservice not to try to look elsewhere. Look at what just happened with Nick Saban. Nick Saban, that was, I think, a shock to a lot of people that he decided to retire. And they went outside the building. They went outside of the comfortable Nick Saban coaching tree to go get Kalen DeBoer. I don't know if that's going to work, but I kind of liked the thought process behind it. And Michigan's at a very big crossroads here because that championship feels great. And you can lather in that and you can languish in it for, what do you get, 3 years, 5 years? And then we know this fan base. They're going to start getting antsy again. They're going to start getting really, they were upset with Harbaugh when he couldn't beat Ohio State. So I'm just a little surprised that such a premium job like Michigan in the state it's in, which is the top of the mountain, didn't think, oh, could we go get someone more established to keep this train running for sure?
Well, come on. If you're say Brian Kelly, Michigan is about to face the hammer from the NCAA, and they just lost their star quarterback, their star running back, their offensive line, their defensive line. There's no way you're taking this job because of the penalties alone. So I think they have to go in-house. The other thing is Sharon Moore has earned the job because he won without it. It feels like Sharon Moore is a guy they got to keep too, and definitely Jesse Minter, their defensive coordinator. You got to be careful he doesn't leave for the pros now. So they're paying those guys a ton of money. There's a big quarterback recruit who's tied to Sharon Moore, who if Moore left, they would have lost him too. So there's all these reasons. Honestly, I think the biggest thing was with the NCAA possibly penalizing him this year, a change wasn't really realistic.
Okay, but then are you setting up him to fail? Are you basically saying, all right, we'll have him here while we get through this NCAA stuff, then let's see what shakes out with the Lance Leipolds and the Brian Kellys and see what happens with Dion, and let's see what happens with some of these other coaches, and you're just sort of not being the guy to follow the guy until you regroup and do go after a bigger fish.
Possibly, but I feel like that's sort of discrediting Sharon Moore in advance. Why? I think Sharon Moore seems like he could have been a great hire for another team. So I'm not sure actually why he didn't get head coaching interviews after he won for Harbaugh there. I think everyone thought he's the next Michigan coach, so no one even looked at him. But I think that's a little insulting to Sharon Moore to say that he's just a placeholder for Lance Leipold, who's not a young man either.
But you mentioned it yourself. The NCAA could come down here, and it's going to come down for Sharon Moore. I mean, what else is going to come out here? Everybody who's in the program now, did they have any connection to Connor Stallions? I mean, I don't know if Sharon Moore did. We have no idea. There's still a lot to be determined here. How much is the NCAA really going to bring the hammer on Michigan?
I could be naive, but I think Michigan fans are savvy enough to know this is going to be an off year, or should be an off year. There's just a lot of graduation, a lot of going to the pros. I think they're patient with Sharon Moore for this year, but they've been recruiting, and that's Moore's work.
Right.
They've been recruiting like crazy. They could be back in 2 years, and they have a huge fan base and NIL base. So I think Sharon Moore has a great chance for success in 2-3 years.
Okay. Patient fans. Do you think Kalen DeBoer is going to get a patient fan base with Alabama?
Totally different situation.
But, okay.
Totally, way more intense situation in Alabama. I mean, Michigan got used to losing.
Man, I don't know. You get that taste, and you've been beating Ohio State now. Then again, he beat Ohio State, so I do want to give him full credit for that. He deserves it. But there's nobody happier today than Ohio State.
I mean, they wanted to fire Jim Harbaugh, winning 10 games because he was losing to Ohio State.
Ohio State might want to fire Ryan Day, and he was someone who was elevated from the Urban Meyer staff.
He's
and they
been winning 10, 11 games a year losing.
It's ridiculous. But that's the thing about being a fan. You're allowed to be irrational. You're allowed to live in the moment. And I love that about being a fan because I do that myself.
I think Michigan's in a way different place than they were in the early Harbaugh years. Like, they are going to have some talent, and they're going to be all of a sudden, I would say they're right there with as far as recruiting and transfer portal, they're going to get much better players than they did early Harbaugh. They're going to be right there with Alabama. I think DeBoer is going to be a big problem in Alabama.
See, but you're talking about, wouldn't a fan base understand that a step back is coming? Like, I think the Alabama fan base, if you're just being totally rational about it, Nick Saban's retiring. He won 6 championships in 12 years. Like, no one's going to do that again.
I think the Alabama fan base is much more intense than the Michigan fan base. I don't even think it's close.
They wanted Jim Harbaugh out.
Alabama is defined by one thing. The whole state is Alabama football. Michigan is not the same way. The alumni are loyal, but, I mean, they're not like, you don't have to win a title every year. Alabama is much, much different. You think the pressure is similar?
I just think it's interesting that they have 2 programs literally played each other in the college football semifinal. Michigan won. Yet we're saying that Michigan has all this time to regroup and put it together, where Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, is going to be under this intense microscope. Why would Michigan be under the microscope?
Because they just won, and they are about to have suspensions, and their quarterback's leaving. Alabama's quarterback may be coming back. I'm not sure that's done.
He was
either.
Courtside at the Alabama-Auburn basketball game last night. Did you guys see that? So they had Jalen Milroe on the broadcast with Jay Williams and
Boo, right?
No.
Was it Sean B? Okay, I wasn't sure.
It was with the hair.
From that game. I don't know who the player was.
No, you guys, we know him. Baseball.
But yeah, it was Ravage.
We call him Ravage.
It was Ravage, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't say it with the hair. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So the lights go out. Did you see this? They start the game, 30 seconds goes off the clock, and then something happened with the lights, and they're in the middle of a Jalen Milroe interview.
That's awesome.
And they just kept the interview going for like 10 minutes while they're trying to fix the lights. Like, Jalen Milroe was held hostage by the interview yesterday.
In some ways, though, I mean, we thought Bogus yesterday told his story. It was terrible that someone got injured, but they had no commercial break to go to when he was doing high school basketball, wherever it was. Here, I mean, at least they had Jalen Milroe. Like,
I know.
Great person to fill time with, right?
But it's a big ask for Milroe.
Yes.
It's a big lift. Anyway, 855-212-4CBS. That was going on at Alabama basketball last night. They ended up upsetting Auburn, by the way, just to finish that thought. But I think Michigan, you're going to see the same sort of rabid Maybe not 100% to the extent of Alabama, but I think you're underestimating the Michigan fans getting that taste of success, getting used to beating Ohio State, wondering why can't we keep the train going here? You have your best recruiter and we're keeping our offensive coordinator. I don't think they get to languish and have a 7-5 season. Everyone's going to be like, nah, it's cool.
I think it is. The other thing, too, is that Ohio State is not Ohio State anymore. Tell me about their quarterback situation. Tell me about their coaching situation. They just lost Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's got Julian saying.
Yeah, they
And
just got him from Alabama.
They're spending record money in NIL right now.
Are you scared of them at all? Are you scared of them at all next year?
Yes. I think Ohio State is going to maul Michigan next year because
Michigan's off next year, but 2 years from now, I'm telling you. By the way, Julian saying just went to Ohio State. You think he's actually going to end in Ohio State? There's 3 more transfers coming, but go ahead.
No, but I'm saying Ohio State is committed to spending record NIL money. They just actually brought in C.J. Stroud to be a part of their NIL collective, and that's been that. A lot of those reports were coming out over the weekend. It feels like Ohio State knows that Michigan is a wounded animal, and they are saying let's ante up right now because we're about to go on another 17 to 18 year run. I think Ohio State is a very dangerous program right now.
They sound like your Miami Hurricanes a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, Miami hasn't had any infrastructure to actually make this work or the coaching in-game to make this work. Ohio State, they've had stars already, and now they're adding more money to the NIL money they've been spending. So I think Ohio State's extremely dangerous.
So you guys honestly think if Michigan, I don't think they'll go 7-5 because they have a pretty easy schedule. If they go, say, 8-4 and go to a bowl game, that Sharon Moore is going to be on the hot seat?
I think that Michigan is still one of the premier jobs. And I guess thanks to Jim Harbaugh, it became, I think it's always been a premier job. I think it still is. And you're going to have, I don't know about Brian Kelly. Why would Brian Kelly want to leave LSU now? Nick Saban just left Alabama. This is the perfect time to be at LSU. And you have the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. But if you're looking at some of those other big name coaches, I think Michigan is still an incredibly appealing place.
Like Deion?
Why not? I mean, I don't know if Deion necessarily fits the Michigan man thing. He's more of a Florida man. But
I don't know if Deion wants to go up to Ann Arbor. I don't know. I just feel like Sharon Moore he's a really good recruiter. I feel like Michigan's set up for success here. And he's going to be more Harbaugh. He's going to run the ball right down your throat. He's going to be the anti-Ohio State. He's a tough guy. I would watch that defensive coordinator right there. I mean, Jesse Minter is supposed to be the man, too. It'd be nice if he stayed. Probably won't.
I mean, big-time quarterback prospects, if you're going to run the ball, and I know J.J. McCarthy is declared for the NFL. We'll see where he goes. But you're going to run the ball 32 times in a row. It's great. You win the game. But if I'm a big-time quarterback prospect, I want to go to a place that's going to show me off.
I think they have a 5-star there. This kid, Jaden Davis. So I think 1, 2, or 3 among quarterbacks. They already got kids. They got J.J. McCarthy to go there.
That's also Jim Harbaugh. I mean, there's a part of that where Harbaugh was like a quarterback kingmaker for a while.
I view Sharon Moore as Harbaugh light. That's how I view him. So I think quarterbacks are good. I think there's enough shine there for now. I might be totally naive.
What about Mike McDaniel, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, who used to be with Michigan?
Yeah.
This guy's got him and passed off between Harbaughs. He might get a head coaching job in the NFL. That's I think there's going to be a lot of interest. And unfortunately for Sharon Moore, for Kalen DeBoer, for any of these guys who are coming in to replace these big time coaches, not that DeBoer is not his own big time coach, I think the spotlight is really hot on both of them. I don't think it's one more than the other. I think the fan bases are rabid. 855-212-4CBS. Let's go to Brooke, who's in Georgia. Wants to weigh in. Good morning,
Maggie.
Brooke.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on. So I'm a Cowboys fan and a Bama fan. So my patience is ultimately thin. I had the worst 10 days of football life. Nick Saban retires. We lose to Michigan. The Cowboys just tank. So I need DeBoer to really take the wheel and let's get this thing going. And I expect a 9-10 win season right out the gate. And I do expect to beat Auburn. He's got to beat Auburn.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Brooke, you're an Alabama fan living in Georgia. That's got to be interesting.
Saban could barely beat Auburn with his full team. Now you have half a team in Kalen DeBoer. That's a tall order.
It's okay, though. He's either got to do it or he's got to get out. That's just my opinion. And Mike McCarthy needs to go, too. Clean house.
Brooke, I was with you on that one. Thank you so much for the phone call.
I mean, you think Kalen DeBoer and Sharon Moore are in the same boat? They just want to fire. They're already talking about firing Kalen DeBoer for losing to Auburn, and we haven't even started the season yet.
855-212-4CBS. Guy is in Portland. Wanted to weigh in on some NFL old business. Guy, good morning.
Hi. Hey, Maggie. First of all, I want to say in the age of girl power, I want to give you a shout out. Like, you're taking the baton like Taylor Swift, Simone Biles, Sabrina Ionescu, and I just think you do your job really well.
Well, thank you. And please, can somebody cut that for the end of time that I got mentioned in the same breath as those amazing women? Thank you, guys.
Right on. Hey, so I just wanted to say, I've been a football fan since I was like 8 years old. The 1972 Cowboys inspired me to watch football, and every year I've been watching it. And I know it's everybody's job on these talk shows like your show, which I listen to, but to analyze everything. But I just want to say, can't we just chalk the Bills' loss up to if somebody's got to win the game? Okay, Josh Allen's a warrior. I'm sure that, the receivers didn't mean to miss those passes. Somebody's got to win the game. I thought the Bills did incredible. And, whatever changes have to happen, that's all fine. But I give a shout-out to the Bills. And, I think they played well. I think they did their best. Somebody's got to win the game. Why do we have to, say that everything's so sad and, all this stuff? I just think they played a really good game, and I think they're warriors. So that's all I wanted to say today.
Guy, thank you so much. The healthy approach.
Yeah, Guy, I'm with Guy. I am not with Maggie Gray, E.J. Stewart, and Pete Bellotti, who thinks that the 31 teams who don't win the Super Bowl are quote-unquote losers.
They are.
Here we go again.
I didn't feel like a winner, I'm going to be honest, on Sunday night.
You are aware that there's one Super Bowl winning team. Does that mean everybody else is an utter failure? Me and Guy.
Yes.
Wait, how about this? How about pats on the back when you actually make it to the Super Bowl?
Right.
How about that? I mean,
at least do that.
At least make it to the Super Bowl. Then maybe you go, all right, good job, good effort. You made it all the way there.
You know what Josh Allen said in that press conference, right? There are going to be 31 sad teams and only one happy team at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're one of them one of these years. Even he knows.
I think you're going to look back at this Bill season and say it was kind of a miracle that they made the playoffs.
Well, that's what Kelsey said to Josh Allen, which I thought was kind of messed up, actually.
Those guys, Josh Allen should smack one of them dudes. Like between the last time with Mahomes saying, "Oh, this is BS. It's the worst call ever," and Allen's like, "Thanks." Like they just beat them finally, and he's thought, "Oh, worst call ever." And Kelsey, hey man, you're lucky you even got here, dude.
It's amazing you even got here.
What is with these guys? Here. And again, another team. Perloff says can't imagine how they're not unlikable.
Oh my God. You guys are going after the wrong two people, and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. They are salt of the earth.
No, but they're not above reproach. And again, going back to Guy's thing.
Patrick Mahomes is.
Going back to Guy's thing about should we just happy they're warriors, gave us a good season. It's hard for me to get there because the expectations, fair or unfair, and I think fair, are extremely high. So getting to the divisional round or just getting to the, as far as you can and losing in this heartbreaking way, that part of it is impossible. When the Bills broke their 17-year playoff drought and then went and got smoked and scored 3 points against the Jags, I didn't care. I was just happy they broke the drought. You I think set your expectations where they should be. The Bills' expectation is Super Bowl. They fall short of that. I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah, but this year the expectation should not have been Super Bowl because of the defensive injuries, and deep down you know that. I think when you have time to process this, you will know that this was a pretty gritty team.
No, I appreciate what they did. I wish they had completed a pass at the end of the game. What are you going to do? Kevin is in Oregon. Good morning, Kev.
Good morning. I'm worried about the 49ers. I've been a fan of theirs since I was a little kid, and I was born in the 50s, so I saw some pretty awful play. But the expectation is that they're going to win. They're at least going to go to the Super Bowl, and they sure didn't play like it against Green Bay.
Yeah.
I think they're playing tight. And Shanahan, at the end of the half, screwing up that timeout business and losing all that time, there's something going on with those guys. I think they're feeling the pressure, and I'm not sure they can beat Detroit if they're going to play like that.
Kevin, I get where you're coming from. I don't know if I totally trust Kyle Shanahan in a big game, and they're the favorite. They're the touchdown favorite playing at home. You got to feel a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, I think we were just talking about expectations and where the Bills were. I think that's a great point. The expectations on this San Francisco team from day one have been win the Super Bowl, and they do not look like the loose team. Remember the year that they lost to the Rams in the NFC title game? Nobody thought they were going to be there, completely loose. That's the exact opposite situation. you're right. If they come out against Detroit and Brock Purdy is cautious, that's not a good situation.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Me on the flip side, I think the Lions are playing loose.
Yeah.
They already made history.
Feels like house money.
Fans are happy,
Yeah.
you know? Very, very different. 855-212-4CBS. Do you agree? Does it look like San Francisco is maybe playing tight? Does it feel like the weight of the world is on their shoulders, whereas the Lions are playing loose? 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, who has the edge when we talk about the Ravens and the Chiefs? We'll get to that in just a moment. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by the new Hyundai Tucson, available with complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Now it's easy to use your phone to control your Tucson. Hey, I wanted to just take a real quick step back. A great point I had last segment, but I didn't say that it's a total non sequitur. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff.
Yes, you want to clean up old stuff from last segment?
We were forgetting. We were saying Sharon Moore could have a down year at Michigan and be in some trouble. We forgot about the ultimate superpower for Michigan. They never schedule anyone. You're telling me that he can't beat Fresno State and Arkansas State and Minnesota and Indiana and Illinois? This is a Michigan schedule. He'll be fine.
Well, but the only thing is you now have UCLA and USC who are going to be coming into the conference.
Yeah, well, they play USC, who is a disaster right now. They do play Texas and Oregon. Those are bad. But they do they really have an easy schedule. They have a tough schedule of academic schools like Northwestern and Indiana here. But as football, no, they're fine.
Well, Oregon, Washington, these are not going to be walkovers.
They don't have Washington this year.
Just Oregon and USC?
Yeah, no, they do. Michigan has this famous easy schedule, so that gives Sharon Moore a little bit of leeway. They don't even care. They're not even going to try and make tough decisions here.
They got Texas.
They have Texas. So they're going to, but he won't even be on the sideline for that. He'll probably be suspended, so that's not going to hurt him.
He won't go get on his permanent
But after
record.
that, like, it really works out nicely for Moore. I think that, they'll be fine. Michigan knows what they're doing.
They can't suspend Sharon Moore.
Oh, I think he will be suspended.
No, but Jim Harbaugh gone. The NCAA has to just ding the program now, again, which is not fair to the kids who are left, or the young men who are left. But you're going to suspend, if they can't find a direct tie that Sharon Moore knew about Connor Stallions, how do you suspend him?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. But they are going to come down on him. But still,
Take scholarships away.
I
probably.
still like Michigan against Fresno State.
I feel
you do.
I feel there's a show bet brewing because we jumped on the bandwagon saying Kalen DeBoer will win at least 10 games.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing from Perloff that Michigan will win at least 10 games. So,
no, 10's tough. I'll go 9. Can I get 9?
The bowl game, which you're giving me the bowl game and us the bowl game for Alabama. I give you the bowl game because that counts for the rest.
Yeah.
Woo, this is a tough rebuilding year.
You just gave me all these reasons about how they're going to be good.
Well, I mean, they could be 9-3. That's fine. 9-3 for Sharon Moore is a win.
Would you?
What happens against Ohio State?
I know we are against spreads.
Ohio State, do we know how good Will Howard is? Does anyone know? I don't know.
Good.
I mean, Sharon Moore, the dude handed off the ball 32 times in a row against Penn State. I like his moxie.
Okay. You think about that bet. I'm going to go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Big Friendly is in California. What a name. Good morning, Big Friendly.
Hey, how you doing, Maggie? Thank you for taking my call. Perloff, two gentlemen in the back who like to chime in. I just wanted to touch on the 49er Lions game.
Sure.
And how I feel the Niners are beatable if Debo doesn't play. The Lions have the number 2 rush defense.
Yep.
I know they give up a lot of pass plays, but if you take Debo out, that's a big if. I think you can shut down the run and force Purdy and the third receiver to beat you. Kittle and Ayuk, I mean, they're two stallions. It's hard to slow them down. But I do think that the Lions offense can score on the defense. And as a Rams fan, I don't like that we lost to the Lions, but I'm proud to see the Lions do something to give that fan base something to be happy about.
Okay, Big Friendly. How did you get that nickname? Is this a self-proclaimed nickname that you're friendly, or did someone else start calling you this?
Okay. So I grew up in a gang-related family. I chose to be a better person. So one of my best friends, who's no longer with us, coined me Big Friendly for the way I chose to live my life. So it's a tribute to him to keep that name going.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for chiming in. And don't be a stranger, Big Friendly. You could have given me 1,000 guesses, and that is not what I would have gone with.
Same here. Though it was Cali, so maybe I should have had a few better guesses.
That's an amazing nickname.
It's
awesome.
I like his point, too. Did you see the Bucs trying to run against the Lions? That is tough. Aleem McNeil being back. Woo. It's a 7-point spread. I think our callers are talking me into the Lions here.
I always thought that spread felt a little too big, especially because what's the over-under? Like 50, 51?
Yeah, it's high.
Maybe you're just expecting shootout, and at whoever has the ball last is just going to.
Well, I think, a reason for Lions fans to be hopeful is you neutralize McCaffrey, put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands. Are you terrified of Brock Purdy? Probably not.
Major Brock Purdy, this is a Brock Purdy referendum game.
And he doesn't have Debo. If he doesn't have Debo to save him, scary.
I think Debo's going to play. He's just going to be limited. Maybe he plays, I don't know.
I know how much
30 snaps.
I know how much Perloff loves weather, and you're looking at maybe a gorgeous day in Santa Clara, like 70 degrees.
Oh, man, a little rain could have neutralized Goff. That's bad, too.
Rain's bad for Purdy, number one.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Chris is in Richmond. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Richmond, California.
Good. I just wanted to touch up on the 49ers matchup also. I was going to mention, I think, not the previous caller, but the one before that mentioned that the Niners look a little frailed and
could be
maybe
tight.
A little shell shock.
Just could be tight. The expectations, you're playing at home, you're a big favorite, you've had expectations for the last couple of years. Yeah,
sure, I understand that, but I think a lot of it is these guys play each other so much in the regular season. They're obviously trying to mix it up a little bit for the playoffs, and I think they get in their head a little bit instead of just playing their game. So I think that's what a lot of it is it seems sluggish, and it's like, hey, why can't the offense get going? It's because they're stacking the box and they're figuring out how to stop McCaffrey. He's not having those 3 touchdown games. He had 2 last game, but not the same McCaffrey.
Well, okay, but here's the thing then, Chris. We talked about the coaching matchup, and thank you for the phone call. Who do you trust more for in-game adjustments? Do you trust Kyle Shanahan? Do you trust Dan Campbell? We know who's going to be the more aggressive guy. It's going to be Campbell.
Well, I mean,
he never met a fourth down he doesn't like.
Yeah, but look at what happened in San Francisco last week. They woke up in the fourth quarter. They were a completely different team by the fourth quarter. The offense all of a sudden opened up, even in the rain. So I can't say that Shanahan won't make adjustments.
Let's go to Peter Schwartz. He's got headlines for us this morning. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. Who's got it better than Jim Harbaugh? Well, he leads his alma mater, Michigan, to a national championship. Now he makes his return to the NFL as head coach of the LA Chargers. Harbaugh agreeing to a 5-year deal to lead the Bolts, and before a 9-year run in Ann Arbor, Harbaugh was the head coach of the 49ers for 4 seasons and guided San Francisco to an appearance in Super Bowl 47. It was in that game that he faced his brother John and the Ravens, and they'll meet again in the regular season this year at SoFi Stadium. As far as Michigan is concerned, they're reportedly focusing in on naming offensive coordinator and offensive line coach Sharon Moore as their new head coach. Moore was the interim head coach for 4 games this past season when Harbaugh was serving multiple suspensions. The Lions are getting ready to face the 49ers in the NFC title game on Sunday. Lions quarterback Jared Goff did not care for the way a reporter questioned him comparing the rosters.
Your guys got a lot of really good players, obviously, but maybe not.
Oh, thank you.
Okay?
I said thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe not viewed, though, as the superstars like maybe the 49ers have or others.
All right, never mind.
But I mean, guys like St. Brown and getting you.
Yep. St. Brown was first team All-Pro, so.
Right.
So was Panay. Sorry, continue. I'm sorry.
By the way, Jared Goff's having a moment, right?
Man, he's come a long way.
Oh, man.
Do you remember on Hard Knocks when he didn't know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west?
Yeah.
I mean, we have really come a long way with this dude. I like him.
Jared Goff was universally looked down upon at the end of the Rams, and now all of a sudden he's a really good quarterback. Did anybody here see that coming when he went to the Lions? I thought he was just a throw-in on that trade, and eventually the Lions would draft a guy. He's really good.
I think anytime you get around Campbell, St. Brown, he's around Jamal Williams for a year, you can't help but just get it a little more sizzle, so to speak.
What are you talking about? He was with Sean McVay and that cast of superstars in the Rams.
I mean, Sean McVay, I don't think he's not a great personality. He's just a good play caller. I'm talking about the characters.
Yeah.
I think we underestimate that all these guys are stone cold killers. And underneath,
even Jared Goff.
Yes, and they have to have this level or this place they can go to, because I think they do a lot of work when nobody's looking. And you have to have something that pushes you. And then you add a chip on someone like that shoulder where you trade them, disrespect, whatever you want to take from that. And I think these guys relish these moments to get back at their former teams, haters, all that stuff.
It's funny, though. Jared Goff seems so laid back, though. I understand. I totally agree with you. It's hard to see the killer in him.
Well, Tom Brady seems laid back, but he's not. I mean, these guys trick us.
Not like Mr. California. Jared Goff, just the look, the blonde hair, the California thing. I mean, he does not. He's the hardest one to see the killer in. Brock Purdy, Brock Purdy is looks a little psycho right below the surface. Well, Goff, it just feels like a surfer.
No, but even Tua, these guys, you have to have something deep down, or else you're not going to make it this far. I fully believe that.
Yeah, it's hard to see. I do agree with you, but I think Tua and Jared Goff are two of the quarterbacks where it's harder to see. Just their style. They hide it. I mean, you heard that press conference. He's basically a half comedian.
Sometimes it takes a little change of scenery to have a personality come out. Maybe that was not encouraged with the Rams. Just being around the right people gets it out of you. Sometimes, you can be in a shell and you go to a different spot and you can come out of the shell.
No, he was Mr. Barstool at Rams. Like, he was a personality. he everybody liked him. He was a bro.
No, but think about what the knock on him with the Rams. He gets there, number 1 overall pick, but I don't think he wasn't like a Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall pick where people were waiting for him, and generational talent. He wasn't Andrew Luck coming out of the draft. And then, what was the thing? Sean McVay was actually reading the defenses and telling him and changing play calls and stuff in his helmet, remember? So it kind of suggests that you're having trouble maybe handling things as a young player. Then he gets to the Super Bowl and they score 3 points. Yeah. And Belichick puts on a clinic, and then you get traded.
But yeah.
You got paid. Then you get
But there's another layer, too, about his personality. He seemed like a frat guy, immature. He had that Instagram note about how he wanted to sleep with McVay's now wife, I believe. Like, there was a lot going on there.
Forgot about that
one. I mean, honestly, I know that's like, this is rumors and gossip, but that seemed like the personalities were not meshing with McVay and Goff. I don't think McVay took Goff seriously. I don't think he thought he was that killer. And I think he saw it in Stafford. By the way, when you think about it, all 4 of these quarterbacks are the nicest guys. Lamar might be the nicest person in the NFL, killer. Patrick Mahomes, nice, killer. Goff, Purdy, it's interesting. Like, these guys, you say they're all killers. You always say that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting group, because all 4 of them would walk a grandmother across the street and a dime to
but you got to hate to lose in a way that is probably what most of us would consider unhealthy.
And I think to get from the depths that he was in, remember that first season when they ended up winning 3 games, but remember they lost their first 10. And we were
with the Lions.
Yes, with the Lions. And we thought maybe they were going to lose it all and he was going to be a backup the following year. To get to that low, to get yourself out of that, takes a level of I don't give an F that I don't think normal humans understand. Yeah. And on the outside shell, he may come off as this nice California guy. I agree with Maggie. I think athletes at that level, especially with where he's been, it's a lot different.
And if someone believes in you, you're going to run through a wall for them. Like Dan Campbell sticks with you, you're going to love him. Like Mike McDaniel sticking with Tua, as Brian Flores didn't love Tua. Mike McDaniel says he's the best. A little confidence like that, I'm sure, helps a lot.
I hear everything you're saying, and it makes sense, but I do think that system thing is still kind of with him. I mean, we'll see. When Ben Johnson's in Washington next year, we'll see what Jared Goff does. I just think that I'm not sure everyone views him as this killer, he did it all on himself guy. I feel like it feels a little bit like right place, right time with Goff, especially if they lose this week. Then everyone's going to be like, oh, typical Jared Goff.
All right, we'll move on to the NBA. The Bucks beat the Cavaliers 126-116. How about a little more from Giannis Antetokounmpo, who had a triple-double last night? So the Bucks have to now move forward after the firing of head coach Adrian Griffin.
Got to keep on moving forward. We have a goal in our head, which is to be the best basketball team that we can be. Obviously, there's a lot of high expectation from the ownership group, from the front office, from ourselves to be great. And this is the business of the NBA.
Then why'd you hire Doc Rivers? If you're trying to win titles, I don't know if he's the guy to get you there, but that's just me.
Yeah, they had a 30-13 record. Everything was moving smoothly, and they wanted the coach out.
Listen, they were dancing last night on the court. Clearly, they didn't like the coach. That's fine. You can move on from him. I just wonder what's going to be different about this with Doc. This is a second-round exit, Doc Rivers. He hasn't won a title since the most motivated Celtics team maybe of all time with Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, but the Bucks did win with Budenholzer, and I'm not sure that's the greatest coach in the history of the world.
And they almost lost. If Kevin Durant's toe is not on the three-point line against the Nets, he's gone before they even get to the title.
The only thing I will say, if Coach Bud can win one there, maybe Doc wins one. I mean, are you guys Budenholzer fans? It felt like Giannis was carrying that team.
I think Budenholzer is a way better exit nose coach than Doc.
Yeah.
Now, is he... I mean, and the in-game stuff, he's terrible, but so is Doc. So what difference does it make?
What else we got, Pete?
Warriors beat the Hawks 134-112. They returned to game action for the first time since the passing of assistant coach Dejan Milejevic last week. Head coach Steve Kerr said the coaching staff did something to honor Milejevic before the game.
Tonight was just about the emotion and just trying to get through it. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but all the coaches took a shot of something called rakia, which is before the game, which is a Serbian brandy.
Yeah, I'm not sure he should have said that, but see if the NBA looks into that a little bit.
I mean, they won the game.
They
looks
did.
into it. What, are you going to suspend them for drinking?
They admitted to drinking before the game.
Well,
Ron Artest used to say he used to drink Hennessy at halftime.
Yeah. Marshawn Lynch said in football said he used to take a shot before the game too.
I will say Steve Kerr gets a phone call from the NBA.
Wait, hold on one second. We know athletes, they're so superstitious. I'm sure coaches are too. You take a shot before this game and you win.
Yeah, you got
it's shots for the rest of the season.
I know, right?
Well, it's the Red Sox, right? The 04 Red Sox. They had shots.
I don't want to hear about the 04 Red Sox.
Well, maybe the Yankees should have started taking shots at Rumpelmans and maybe they wouldn't have collapsed.
I get that, by the way. Back in the day, I think one shot is definitely a performance enhancer, right? You just can't do too many shots. Maybe it's like pool. You're good 3 beers in and terrible 8 beers in. I think that's a great way to get the nerves
out. A lot of guys puke. What's the difference?
I think the whole whatever you eat, whatever you drink before game, I think is all bogus. Because again, you mentioned how the Red Sox were doing whatever with beers and stuff, but then when they flopped in 2011, it was like, oh, they're eating too much fried chicken before a game. I'm like, what? You drinking beers before in 04, and now fried chicken is bad. Like none of this stuff matters.
Yeah.
Take a shot, eat chicken, whatever. At the end of the day, the best team's going to win on the court.
I do think there is something to be. I don't know. In high school basketball, the weirdest thing that I'd always be playing and I'd be covering a guy. I'm like, God, this guy smells like marijuana. What's going on there? I felt like 50% of my high school basketball games, somebody was high on the court.
I don't understand how marijuana makes people better at basketball. I know J.R. Smith.
A lot of players
definitely was smoking before games.
I think a lot of players play. It relaxes you, right?
I know,
and peak performance. I totally understand.
Whose hand-eye coordination gets better when they're stoned?
I think you're more relaxed. I think there are a lot of guys who probably, or you could take like a Klonopin or a tranquilizer, just something.
Think about it and trying to dunk.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think imagine a Super Bowl, how nervous you would be. You guys ever heard of a beta blocker? Some athletes take that. It's like a heart medicine where all the fear goes out of your body. That's a good thing, right?
I mean, taking a Klonopin before the Super Bowl feels like a scene in a comedy.
Well,
you'd be drooling out of the side of your mouth, wouldn't you?
How many Klonopin are you taking?
I don't know. I've never taken a Klonopin.
People take Klonopin every day.
David Wells says he was half drunk when he pitched his perfect game, so maybe it has some good effect on people. But
well, I mean, Spaceman Lee, right? Wasn't he tripping on acid?
College basketball, we had an upset in Evanston.
Let's give it a shot.
96-91, 2 seconds to go. Cats inbound the ball. It's over. The Wildcats win. The Wildcats win. They knock off the 10th ranked Fighting Illini.
And no court storming.
96-91, and they do not storm the court.
Good security there, as we heard on Learfield IMG. Northwestern over number 10 Illinois, 96-91 in overtime. You would think the students would have wanted to run on the court after a win like that.
Yeah, act like you've been there before.
Well, by the way,
Northwestern has not been there before, by the way.
Since it's still football season, I don't think anybody's really studying college basketball right now. Every day, somebody comes in with another. Is anyone good in college basketball right now?
Oh, the top teams are getting upset at a ridiculous rate. Yeah.
And I didn't even know Illinois was a top team. Northwestern, though, They're student paper. You got to be careful what you do there because they have such a good student paper. You can't get away with anything.
Yeah, they got to make sure they're impartial in their coverage of the game, so they're not going to storm the court.
Half the fans were writing a game story.
Exactly.
They're coming for our jobs, by the way. So I hate that Northwestern program.
And the Australian Open women's semifinals. I know I'm pronouncing some of this wrong. Arina Sabalenka and Qinwen Zheng both won their semifinal matches.
Listen, your word against nobody. Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
855-212-4CBS,
855-212-4227. Okay, we do have an interesting coaching change, and the domino effect of this, well, they could be pretty epic. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute, sponsored by TaxSlayer.
Michigan is coming off a national championship. Welcome back. Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Anytime Perloff sends an email that says, please read this, it can really go any way. You love emailing this stuff to us in the middle of the day. We're just trying to, prep for the next day's show.
I don't know what's going on. Every time I open my computer, I get 40 articles pushed to me from the New York Post, which apparently doesn't do news anymore. They just do side stories. And this one, the headline caught my eye. Often the headline is better than the story. But this said, boyfriend busted for dressing in drag to take career exam for girlfriend. So the boyfriend dressed like a woman to take some sort of test.
Yes. I read the details of this. It happened in Punjab, where the girlfriend apparently wants to be a health worker and she failed the test. So the boyfriend thought he'd be better at it, and he dressed up like a woman and went and took the test. The problem is he didn't look anything like her ID, and they busted him. Can I just say for a moment, first of all, I don't love it that healthcare workers who failed tests might still be able to get jobs. That seems like a place where you actually want to pass the test. We're talking about the health in people's bodies. But this is the ultimate good boyfriend.
No, so you're okay with this? You find this to be a romantic gesture?
Well, I think it's amazing. So in my relationship with my husband, he's a mechanical engineer. He is so good at math, Perloff. It's unreal. And I'm horrible at math. And so if there had been an instance where he could have taken some kind of math test for me, we didn't meet until we were long out of school, but that would have been the ultimate love gesture. And he would have aced it, which would have looked great for me and probably raised a lot of eyebrows.
So you're a cheater? Is that what I'm hearing
here?
I'm what about the ethics of the what? I understand the romance of this.
Here.
But you would have somebody else cheat and take a test for you? That sounds awful.
Well, I've never cheated on a test, but man, I'd be tempted if my boyfriend was like, I'm really good at this. Let me just take this for you. Wouldn't that be great?
No, that's called cheating. I mean, first of all, you must have known plenty of nerds. You could have had somebody take the SAT for you, and you did not do that.
Yeah, but I wasn't dating any of them.
By the way, I am looking at the story now. This woman who couldn't pass the test, she looks like the dumbest person I've ever seen in my life. Look at her. Look at the picture. Of course she couldn't pass the test.
I think that's it's not a mugshot, but the police definitely got involved. Might be a mugshot.
Yeah, I think it's a mugshot. How does the New York Post reporting so well on these stories in India and all this? And why is it coming into my computer? And they know the algorithm that works with my head. I mean, how am I not going to click on that and send it to you in the middle of the day, Maggie? I can't help that. You're getting that story from me every day.
I like that the police said a man can take such a risk only for his girlfriend. This is a love story. I can't believe you can't see that.
I don't think so. I'm very disappointed in these two people.
Okay,
this young man and woman, and he doesn't look a thing like a woman either.
Also, by the way, they're in their 30s. They're not that young.
Yeah.
I think we need a couple poll questions here. One, is it okay to take a shot before a sporting event of alcohol? That is, and two, is it romantic for a man to dress up as his girlfriend to take a test for her? I think that's romantic.
People are going to be like, where did this poll come from? If you don't know the story, that's a little out of left field.
Sorry. Need context?
So wait, when you say is it okay to take a shot of alcohol, do you mean is it okay ethically, or do you mean is it okay for your inevitable performance? Like, does it help you? Is that the question?
I guess. I mean, we were told that story last segment about the Warriors took a shot of Serbian brandy as a tribute to the assistant coach who had tragically passed away. And Peter Schwartz said that he thinks they're going to get a call from the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a pretty good excuse in this case. I think first of all, there's no law.
Is it a performance-enhancing drug to take a shot?
I think we all agree here that it can help you in the short term on the court. I mean, have you guys done anything athletically? Golf, I think you're pretty good when you have a few beers, right? No?
I don't think Tiger's taken one, though, drinking beers. He's like, what was his caddy's name? I don't remember.
I don't know. I think Phil.
Bones. No, Bones. Give a beer to Phil Mickelson.
I'm sure Phil has had a pop or two on the course.
Maybe Phil. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, coming up, lots to do, including one of the big sports what-ifs we're going to tackle today. Don't worry.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, anyone who says they know Jim Harbaugh is going to be an absolute slam dunk with the Chargers, you don't know. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. There are some things even great coaches like Jim Harbaugh cannot overcome. And I'm not saying this isn't a good hire. They made it official yesterday. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it. I'm not saying I'm not jealous of my team doesn't have Jim Harbaugh. Perloff, I'm just saying that there are some things out of the coach's control that can hinder a team, and the Chargers have a few of those things that no coach would be able to overcome.
Harbaugh took over a loser in San Francisco, was 13-3 in his first year with what was thought to be a failed first-round pick in Alex Smith. Now he's got Justin Herbert. I understand the cap problems, but man, he's so good with quarterbacks. They have a last-place schedule in a division that's fading, in my opinion. It's setting up perfectly for Jim Harbaugh on the ultimate high of a national championship is going to be in the NFL playoffs this year. He's going to be one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL.
Okay, I can see where you would get to that. Jim Harbaugh plus Justin Herbert, this seems like a match made in heaven. But again, a few things that Jim Harbaugh is not going to be able to do anything about. Number one, injuries. This has been the biggest thing for Chargers fans that every year, you know, your 2 wide receivers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, they are going to miss games.
Gone and maybe gone.
Okay, well, then you got to replace those guys.
Get rid of the old. Yes, it's a challenge. You got to get rid of the old injury-prone guys. That's my answer to that.
Okay, well, Joey Bosa is not old, and he's one of your top draft picks, and this is a guy who has played 14 games in the last 2 years.
You might have to get rid of him, too. He's not his brother. Joey's great when he's healthy, but he's old and expensive, too. I'm okay. You're going to go young, but you still have Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. You can still win games even without those old guys.
Okay, but you're indicating a full rebuild here. And that's going to be hard because even if you get rid of these guys, it doesn't exactly clear away your cap. Like there are dead cap hits and things like that. I want to bore people with the details. But this is a team that is $45 million over the salary cap for next year, and the quarterback's contract hasn't even kicked in yet. You haven't gotten close to even making to the second round of the playoffs, and you blew Justin Herbert's window, the rookie deal window. You get 1 year this year where he's $19 million, and then it starts to absolutely spike. And you've got expensive players. I think Harbaugh has to make it work with the roster he has. And again, injuries are going to be a factor. The other thing that you can't overcome is the salary cap hell that you're in. That's a bed that was made for you. And thirdly, this Spanos family, the owners of the team, do not exactly have a great reputation of being hands-off. They're the worst kind of owners in some ways because they do nothing when they should do something, and they do something when they should do nothing. And they never seem to get it right. The fan base has completely abandoned them. These are things where even Jim Harbaugh, who's got a big personality, he ultimately lost a personality battle in San Francisco. He's not immune to these things.
Good luck at telling Jim Harbaugh a national championship what to do. He's not even going to know which Spanos is which. He's not even going to know their names.
Oh, they signed
He's
the
going to
checks.
ignore everybody there and do it his way. And yes, there are some roster problems, but you have 2 first-round picks on your offensive line and Justin Herbert at quarterback. And you know Harbaugh loves to run the ball. Eckler's probably gone, but you can find a guy. That's no problem. The offense is shaping up great. Now, the defense, I do think, you have Joey Bosa and you have Derwin James and you have Asante Samuel Jr. You're going to lose, I assume you're going to lose Khalil Mack. Listen, you could be a lot worse. If he gets the right defensive coordinator, he was great with Vic Fangio back in the day in San Francisco. This defense does have pieces. I mean, you can't ignore these names. It's not like he's going.
You want to get rid of all the
names. It's
names.
not like he's going to Carolina. I do want to get rid of. You got to get rid of Khalil Mack, and you probably got to get rid of Mike Williams, who is actually unbelievably the first-round pick wide receiver. He's 29. That's already been 8 years since he was drafted. I think we were there together in Philadelphia.
Yep.
I can't believe that he's older, but. Yeah, I just think that there's enough talent left for Harbaugh to work with because he doesn't need that much talent. I think he's a really, really good coach, and you give him. He was great with Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith. Justin Herbert's better than both those guys. Not significantly better, but he's he can run and he can throw. He's going to be great.
Okay, but that was with a Greg Roman offense, a running offense. They had a great run game in San Francisco. The offensive line was spectacular in San Francisco.
This one could be too.
Okay, I just am saying Jim Harbaugh, the coach, totally believe in him. How could you not? He's won everywhere he's gone. I'm not saying it's not a good hire. I'm just saying there are things that even Jim Harbaugh is not going to be immune to and challenges of taking over this team. And you want to pencil him in to the AFC Championship game or the division round or whatever, I would say just do it at your own risk, because even great coaches still have to operate in what is less than ideal circumstances. And I would call the Chargers, and this is beyond the chargering, like losing close games, that's what Jim Harbaugh's brought here to try to rectify. You want to be, the Chargers have lost in every painful way you can lose. That's where Jim Harbaugh and the X's and O's of this might actually help. But there are those other things that you sit around and you wonder, how can we overcome obstacles that have nothing to do with the head coach? And there's a reason why franchises stay bad. And the Chargers are not immune to those ills.
I say whatever the win total is for next year, bet the over. They're going to have double-digit wins. They get a really lucky schedule. I think Denver and the Las Vegas are in trouble.
Okay,
I just
you
do
act
not
like
see.
the Chiefs aren't in this division. You realize that.
I think this Chargers team can split. The Chiefs, what if Travis Kelce retires? The Chiefs are not the Chiefs anymore. Yeah, they might lose 2 games to Chiefs. I'm not saying they win the division easily. I'm just saying they get to double-digit wins. There's a lot of wins on this schedule. Because you have the quarterback already. Look at this coaching, all the coaching vacancies. This is such a no-brainer to go with Justin Herbert. What are you going to go to Washington with Sam Howell? Go to Atlanta with nobody? Go to Carolina with Bryce Young? I mean, this was probably the easiest decision Jim Harbaugh ever made. I do think he was probably a little bit nervous about that interventionist owner group, but to get him, they had to say, hey, it's your show, Jim. Do what you want. This is the perfect situation.
And what did we say about Sean Payton going to Denver? Perfect situation.
I don't know. I don't think it was the same.
A coach who's won before. Quarterback, wow, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. They have basically the same measurables. He's going to do this, that, and the other. Listen, Herbert's in his prime. It's a better quarterback situation. But we said the same thing about Sean Payton.
We did not, because Russell Wilson was coming off the Nathaniel Hackett year. This is way different.
Okay, so Justin Herbert's coming off a year where, he only started 13 games. And maybe they would have brought him back.
And as bad as chargering is, the Broncos are worse. I mean, they've made bad decision after bad decision.
Nothing's worse than chargering. Just ask the Chargers fan. That's insulting to them.
I would say don't
mock their pain.
The Chargers have definitely been a way better team since 2015. The Broncos have not done anything right.
Can I quickly present maybe a potential challenge for Harbaugh that you guys aren't mentioning?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Harbaugh, he won a national championship, and he was at one point a great NFL head coach. But
it's been a decade?
It's been a decade, and it's not like we've seen successful college coaches recently go to the NFL and have all the success.
Yeah, I was thinking about not that part of it, because he has proven he can do it on the NFL level. But
it's a different landscape.
But the decade part of it, I was thinking about. I'm like, you can't run the ball 32 straight times. I know that was Sherrone Moore who was at the 1s and 2s, if you will, for the game against Penn State. But has it changed that much that Harbaugh can't adjust? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Sorry, it's 2014. What are you guys talking about? A decade. It was 9 years ago.
That's a long time ago.
Right.
What is different?
This was way different. The spread offense in terms of option stuff. The stuff that nobody plays the way they were playing with Colin Kaepernick.
With the run-pass option? You're saying everybody does that now? No. I'm saying they weren't doing run-pass option. They were doing spread option. The offenses are totally different now. Defenses are totally different now. You're saying Jim Harbaugh can't figure that out? I mean, it's 2014, and he was an innovator in that. And back then,
he was an innovator back then. But I think the gap in college X's and O's and NFL X's and O's that we've seen now with multiple coaches that have tried to go to college recently and go to the NFL is massive. And he played a college football kind of game that was good and was great. Not even good, great. They won a national championship, but was not innovative. It was ground and pound. Right. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That ain't working in the NFL. So whatever he did in college, he's got to do something different here.
Well, first of all, I think because he has Herbert, he won't be as ground and pound, but I disagree. I think he's going to zig when everyone else is zagging. I think they need to get tougher, and they need to slow the game down. If you look at Baltimore against Kansas City, you think they're going to throw the ball? They're going to ground and pound and keep that ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand. I'm not sure the league's that different.
Well, the other part, too, I get your point, EJ, but that's not my main concern with Harbaugh, because he's been interviewing for jobs. I think he's had his eye on the NFL. I think his brother being in the NFL, it's not like he's so far from the NFL landscape that he's not keeping a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the pro game.
But why didn't these other NFL teams want him?
I think it was about control. I do think it was about wanting control of the roster. And right now, the Chargers are like, we just came off a 5-win season. Our last 3 head coaches we've whiffed between McCoy and Anthony Lynn and then Brandon Staley. I mean, you got to go with a more established. This is going back to Marty Schottenheimer and Norv Turner, more like that.
Well, if you're so worried about this, just keep Kellen Moore. I don't think Moore is getting any specific offers right now. He's as modern as they get. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Is Kellen Moore going to be? I mean, again, does Harbaugh want to play the way Kellen Moore plays offense?
I don't trust Kellen Moore.
Merge the 2 philosophies. I mean, Harbaugh could be amenable to it. I mean, they might. Kellen Moore is not bad. That's a pretty good offensive coordinator. I think it'd be interesting if you give Kellen Moore's sort of high octane offense, combine it with Jim Harbaugh, slow things down. I don't know. Or
did McCarthy want to do that? In Dallas and didn't work. I mean, they had a good offense. It kind of worked. Dallas.
I mean, I think they were top 5 in offense.
No, the
numbers
were there, but
yeah, a few interceptions. You know, one thing Harbaugh does. Harbaugh has had success cutting down interceptions of his quarterback. So I don't know. I see what you're saying, but you're acting like it's not Dick Vermeil coming back after 15 years. It was 2014.
Yeah, I mean, I get where EJ's coming from. That to me is not going to be the specific obstacle, but again, remains to be seen.
He's going against some of the same opponents. He's going to be looking at Bobby Wagner across the line, just like he was back then.
Bobby Wagner's a rookie probably back then.
Meanwhile, he exits right as I kind of want Pete Carroll to somehow get on the staff of like the Raiders or something, just so we can resurrect Harbaugh versus Carroll and how much they disliked each other. That'd be great.
Was it a Jim Schwartz and Harbaugh almost got in a post-game
That was great.
fist fight.
Are the Browns on the schedule next year?
Gotta double check.
Yeah, they definitely are. They play the whole AFC North.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite, like, nobody remembers moments in, like, maybe NFL history.
Was Schwartz the Lions coach then?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great. A lot of coaches.
Pete Carroll, what's your deal, man? So good.
I remember we had Rick Neuheisel on the Dan Patrick Show, and he told a story of they lost to Jim Harbaugh in college. I think it was UCLA Stanford. And he goes, Rick said, the Jim came up to him and goes, "Hey, Ricky, what you think of that? We beat you pretty good, huh?" Right after the game.
I mean, wow, talking about winning
Hey,
the class.
Ricky, look at what we just did. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is not, I mean, he's an oddball.
Yes,
Let's face it. He's just an odd guy. I wouldn't take it personally, but Jim Schwartz, on the other hand, yeah, that's going to be great. That's a great point, EJ.
Okay, you are welcome to weigh in on Jim Harbaugh, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I actually want to take a quick break. When we come back, let's do the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff. Every day, every week at this time, we go back and look at one of sports' greatest what-ifs and what could have beens. This week, we are tying it to the greatest quarterback that we have right now. So the greatest what-if, what could have been. You'll hear that next. Your thoughts on Harbaugh, 855-212-4CBS. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. It's that time of week. It's Thursday. That means one of my favorite segments, the Multiverse of Maggie and Perloff.
Exploring sports' biggest what-ifs and could-have-beens. Let's dive into the Multiverse of Maggie and Perloff.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. So the Multiverse, when we talk about what could have been, and my favorite kind of could have been, Maggie, is a draft mistake. Of course, what if the Portland Trailblazers had drafted Michael Jordan instead of Sam Bowie?
Wait, we're not doing that.
No, I'm saying like that kind of mistake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that being the ultimate one. I think the NFL has their version of that, of the Michael Jordan draft, and that's what we're going to do this week. What if in 2017, the Chicago Bears, who had the number 3 pick coming into the night, had drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Mitchell Trubisky? Oh. How different is NFL history? Why don't you start? What do you think would have happened?
The Chicago Bears are now the dynasty that we think the Kansas City Chiefs could be. Because when Patrick Mahomes, if he was drafted by the Chicago Bears, and sorry to say that, Bears fans, I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound. But
sounds like you are.
Don't forget, with Mitchell Trubisky, they put together a 12-4 season where they lost to your Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card, and Matt Nagy was the head coach. Nagy is Andy Reid light, having all this success with Patrick Mahomes. So you're telling me that Patrick Mahomes couldn't have been throwing passes to Allen Robinson? Hell, has Allen Robinson actually been a Chief? like every single team. You're telling me with Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen, you had the run game. And then, you didn't have great receivers. Allen Robinson. You had Trey Burton as your tight end. Akeem Hicks, I believe was... no. Let's see. Who am I looking at here? Adam Shaheen. I mean, you didn't have great weapons. But if you have Mahomes... I think you're looking at a team that is the Chiefs.
I don't think you're considering NFL history and that strange shaped C on the helmet and what it does to the quarterbacks.
Okay.
There is no way Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes if he lands in Chicago. They are the cursed quarterback franchise, partly because of style. They've always been a grind and win with special teams and defense kind of team. You cannot be Patrick Mahomes in Chicago, and that's exactly what's going to happen to Caleb Williams. They are a cursed quarterback franchise. They've never been an aerial-focused team. It's not part of their DNA. So I think Patrick Mahomes is a good quarterback there. He is not Patrick Mahomes. That's one thing that happens. The other thing that happens is Kansas City is not Kansas City, which opens the way for your Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to be in the Super Bowl, probably have a ring. So if Chicago had just drafted Mahomes, all of a sudden, Mahomes is not the best quarterback in the league. The AFC is wide open. Josh Allen has a Super Bowl ring. There's so many ramifications. And by the way, one note, everybody thought the Bears were going to take Mahomes. Mahomes was 100% sure he was going to the Bears. They'd worked out both him and Trubisky, and they chose Trubisky. So that tells you how dumb the franchise was. It was GM Ryan Pace. They would have made all the wrong decisions around Patrick Mahomes and not built a champion like Kansas City, which has made all the right decisions around Mahomes. So it would have been a complete sea change in what we know now as the NFL.
Yeah, but I think you're really cutting Mahomes short here. And again, we're doing the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff, the great what-ifs of sports. What if the Bears had drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Trubisky in the 2017 NFL draft? If we think that Mahomes is the all-time great quarterback of this generation, and again, he has Andy Reid. They had Matt Nagy.
Yes, that is not the same.
But from the Andy Reid tree.
I don't care.
Okay, but it's not like you have a totally different offense. You have Norv Turner in there who just wants to run the ball all the time or something like that. You did have Matt Nagy.
Yes, so the Eagles had Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator. They didn't have Bill Belichick. I don't care if they had Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was terrible.
Okay, but he won Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
and they were
Matt Nagy was not a good coach for the Bears.
And he's probably going to take over for the Chiefs whenever Andy Reid retires. I mean, there is at least that similarity that it's not such a widely different style. And I think I'm of the opinion that the all-time great players are great at every era, and they can be great on any team. Now, Tom Brady says if he had gotten drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, we'll never have heard of Tom Brady. I think he's cutting himself a little bit short there. But Patrick Mahomes, I think the one thing that could have really stood in his way would probably have been Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Like, maybe just the division being a lot more robust might have hindered him a little bit, but I don't even think that. I think Mahomes is still Mahomes.
But I view this completely different. I'm the system quarterback guy. It's got to be a marriage of coach, roster, quarterback. You can't just have Patrick Mahomes cannot put an entire franchise like the Bears on his shoulders and win 2 Super Bowls and go to another.
Okay, but
never would have happened.
I have a question. Okay, so just let's bring it back to my favorite team, the Buffalo Bills. They had not had a quarterback since Jim Kelly. It was 20 years without a good quarterback. No disrespect, Doug Flutie. They had a defensive head coach in place when he got drafted. There's no reason in the history of the Bills with a defensive head coach, on paper, there is no reason why Josh Allen could become Josh Allen. You would have never thought, because they were wandering in the quarterback desert for years and years, and it took one quarterback. And I think Josh Allen is who he is in Buffalo. He'd be who he is on any team. It takes that kind of quarterback to all of a sudden change the fortunes of a franchise, and who's to say Mahomes would not have done that for the Chicago Bears?
It's Chicago Bears fans, because they know. And by the way, Josh Allen goes to Kansas City, they win a Super Bowl. Just by the way,
Patrick Mahomes in Buffalo, they win a Super Bowl.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you're underestimating how important the entire roster and the coaching staff is. The other thing, too, is the Kansas City Chiefs might have taken Deshaun Watson. They traded up to 10 to beat the Saints to a quarterback. Deshaun and Andy Reid would have been pretty impressive, too.
Yeah, but with the same off-the-field stuff had derailed Deshaun that derailed him in Houston. Again, we're doing the
Deshaun
multiverse.
won a lot of playoff games. I mean, won a lot of games in Houston before all that happened. He could have gotten to a Super Bowl with Andy Reid. And to say, the big disagreement here is to say Matt Nagy and Andy Reid are the same thing. You have to understand the Chicago Bears. And this is a very relevant topic because I know Caleb Williams' camp is saying the same thing. Name the last good Bears quarterback. You just can't. Sid Luckman.
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler was a huge disappointment. You have to go back to Sid Luckman for any consistent
Rex
success.
Grossman got him to the Super Bowl. No, but nobody's in the same stratosphere as Mahomes, but that's why he tilts the playing field. Again, we're doing the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff, which is every Thursday at this time. We go back and look at one of sports' greatest what-ifs, what could have beens. And this one is, what if the Bears had taken Patrick Mahomes in the 2017 draft instead of Mitchell Trubisky? Peter, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I keep wondering what would have happened if the Jets had taken Dan Marino instead of Ken O'Brien.
We'll do that one next week.
Yeah.
How about the Jets could have had Mahomes, too? They took Jamal Adams.
They could have, yeah. No, but I just, it affected me more as a kid.
No, you want to make sure Josh McCown's in place there for the Jets. He can't have any competition. Cannot bring Mahomes in there.
Poor Dan Marino would not have been a good quarterback if the Jets took him.
See, I don't believe that's true. I believe that's true.
I 100%. Dan Marino would not have been Dan Marino with the Jets.
No way.
I don't
Why
understand
not?
this. Yeah.
It's team. I mean, it's just a lot going on. Any great quarterback can be limited by the coach.
But
Dan Marino, like all-time Dan Marino, would not have been all-time Dan Marino with the Jets.
But in these two examples, and I don't want to maybe confuse this, but the Bears drafted a quarterback that had some success. He took them to the playoffs and won 12 games. The Jets drafted a quarterback that had some success. So it's not like they drafted guys who went there and they became Zach Wilson or they became, Ryan Leaf. They got drafted guys that actually showed that, okay, maybe with a guy with better talent, they would have been better. Like, I don't know why you don't think because Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to stick to Mahomes, I want to stick to the Bears and the Chiefs thing.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more talent does he have in Trubisky? 8 times more talent? 10 times more talent? I mean, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. And I think when you talk about Chicago and the issues, a lot of that is related to weather, and a lot of that is related to playing in Soldier Field.
Yeah.
He plays in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who's, I think, weatherproof. He has a rocket cannon arm. He can play in sub-30-degree weather, we just learned. This guy is, like, immortal. I don't think the Bears thing would have affected him at all.
I actually saw someone make this point on Twitter. I forgot who it was before the minus 30-degree game. And it was like, Kansas City might have the worst weather of anywhere because it's sweltering hot in the summer. I mean, hot is, if you've been to Kansas City in the summer, it's gross. And then you are freezing cold in the winter and you have tornadoes. I mean, I don't know if he could actually play in a tornado, but it is Patrick Mahomes, so anything's possible.
True story about the Jets drafting O'Brien. So that was the 83 draft where all those quarterbacks came out. So knowing that the Jets were probably going to get a quarterback, and I was so excited. Remember, the draft was during the week in the morning. It was not prime time. It was not on the weekend. It was a weekday morning. I sort of fibbed to my mother and said I was not feeling well. I didn't go to school that day because I wanted to watch the draft, knowing the Jets are going to get a quarterback. Then I was really sick when they didn't take Marino.
Yeah, well.
Oh, you knew on Marino? Yeah, I mean, you guys are totally discounting Andy Reid and what he does with quarterbacks. Honestly, I've seen him turn A.J. Feely into an all-pro. The guy is a miracle worker. I don't agree with you at all.
But at the same time, and I think Andy Reid's fantastic. But then you give Matt Nagy no credit for taking a bum in Mitchell Trubisky.
Trubisky was not good on those teams. I know exactly what you're talking about. He was not a good player.
He made the Pro Bowl.
He made the Pro Bowl.
He was. I'm telling you, I watch a lot of those teams. He was not a good quarterback. They were so eager to move on from him.
His way through that season, but he did not play poorly. He played really well. So,
I mean, honestly,
what do you mean?
If you had good play out of that would have been a real team. They were never. They didn't scare anybody.
Well, listen, they went up against that first year they lost to your Eagles in 2017, the year you went on to win the Super Bowl, right? And then the next year, I believe they lost on the road in New Orleans was the other wild card game that they lost, which is a really tough place to play. I'm not trying to make excuses, but it wasn't a total devastating, bust of a pick.
I mean, we're talking, what were his best stats?
Well, now we're just doing a referendum here on Trubisky.
Well, this is the multiverse. Yeah, Trubisky stunk.
We're talking about whether Mahomes would have elevated them, and if you're starting
them to 2 Super Bowls.
Well, let's just say you're starting at the level of Trubisky. Actually, was the quarterback for 2 playoff teams, so that's where you have to start, and then add the talent level of Mahomes. It's not like you're starting from a team that went 2-14 or 2-15. You're starting from a team that went 12-4, 8-8, and 8-8. 8-8.
So wait, they made the playoffs at 8-8?
They made the playoffs at 8-8.
Okay, wow.
So is this a referendum on Trubisky or Matt Nagy or both?
I think it's just a positive on Mahomes is the way that I look at it is, and again, Nagy from Andy Reid, it's not the same, but it's not as bad, I don't think, as the Belichick assistants. It's not Matt Patricia.
Organizationally, they were making a lot of mistakes at that point, and I don't think they built the team around him that Brett Veach built in Kansas City. I just don't think it was happening.
Okay, but look at what's happening right now. Everyone's saying this is the worst, Kansas City offense that they have, and they're in the AFC Championship game, and they're a 3.5-point underdog.
Yeah, KC is right. They're completely brilliant. They have a brilliant front office.
No, but
they've made nothing but great choices. That's what I'm saying.
No, but look at how Mahomes elevates the offense when they have a bunch of knucklehead receivers who are making weird plays.
He does things that you just have not seen from other quarterbacks.
But honestly, Mahomes could go away tomorrow, and Andy Reid would have a 30-touchdown quarterback next season. He just would. He's really, really good at play calling.
Which is why I think Matt Nagy will get another head coaching job. If it's not in Kansas City, he'll get another job somewhere else.
I think it's a Belichick situation. Nagy and Bieniemy, nobody trusts the Reid guys.
I mean, on the defensive side, McDermott was a Reid guy. I mean, it's not like he's had nobody from his tree, but again, different side of the ball. 855-212-4CBS. Adrian's our pal in Maryland, wants to weigh in on this topic. The multiverse of Maggie and Perloff. We go back and do our what ifs, what could have beens. Today is what if Patrick Mahomes had been drafted by the Bears in 2017, not the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, Adrian, how are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing awesome.
Good. Maggie, unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you here.
Quite all right. We're still friends.
I normally don't agree with Perloff, but coaching has a lot to do with this. You guys are underestimating the coaching. Don't forget, Mahomes sat for a year.
Yep.
He sat for a year, so he wouldn't be able to do that in Chicago, and he could have got exposed.
He would not have. It'd be a tough job to come in Chicago. I think that year with Trubisky.
Did he start all those games his first year with John Fox? I wasn't sure if he actually started every single game that year.
So he didn't start every game. I had his numbers up here just a second ago. He started. Give me 1 second. 12 games.
Okay, yeah, I thought Mike Glennon started the first couple games, and he didn't sit the whole season like Mahomes did, but he did get to sit a little bit.
Now, for a 5-11 team, they won 4 of their games with Trubisky playing quarterback.
Yeah, and John Fox, that's not the guy.
Howard Trubisky's stats, he must have been flinging it all over, right?
Well, on a 5-11 team,
he had 7 touchdowns and 7 picks, and that's
his rookie season. We're talking.
Yeah, I'm just saying they won 4 games because the way Chicago wins 4 games. Eddie Jackson probably had 3 pick sixes. I mean, come on.
But my thing though is that I get what you're saying, but I don't think you're accounting for the talent gap between Trubisky and Mahomes. Why couldn't Mahomes, with his talent, do more than Trubisky? You think Mahomes is putting up 3,200 yards in a 12-win season?
I think Mahomes is excellent, but we're talking about 2 Super Bowl victories and another trip. You think that Bears team was going to put together that kind of dynasty? That seems ridiculous to me, just because of all the other mistakes they were making in their roster building.
Let's think about it. And Adrian, thank you for the phone call. I don't want to do an NFC, AFC thing because obviously Tom Brady came to the NFC. You still had Drew Brees in the NFC. There were a lot of tough quarterbacks, but it's not. You would say Patrick Mahomes has some pretty tough paths here to just get to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, obviously Josh Allen, now Lamar. I mean, this is tough.
I don't know. He had his second. They had a 10-7 Cincinnati Bengals with second-year Joe Burrow. I don't know. On paper, that's not blowing me away.
But we know Burrow's a dog, though. You can't do that.
But I mean, honestly, San Francisco, LA had to get through that San Francisco team.
That San Francisco team was not good.
They were pretty good. They gave Kansas City all they could handle in that Super Bowl.
So they had Jimmy G was coming off an injury the year before. Jimmy G, who is the ultimate system quarterback, he's basically Mitchell Trubisky. You're telling me that now that team was good, but this Bears team was just hapless, even if they had Patrick Mahomes?
That team should have beaten the LA Rams that then whooped that Cincinnati. Well, they didn't whoop them. They beat them in the fourth quarter.
They shouldn't have lost that. They shouldn't have won that game.
I think all
bad
those
refereeing.
Now we're getting way into a rabbit hole, which happens in the multiverse. But
this is the multiverse and a multiverse off of the multiverse. But keep your calls coming. We see you guys on the phones. Today's question in the multiverse: what if the Bears had drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Mitchell Trubisky in 2017? Peter Schwartz has some headlines for us. Hello.
Hello. We have a new era for the Los Angeles Chargers. They agree with Jim Harbaugh on a 5-year deal to become their new head coach. He heads to L.A. after a 9-year run at his alma mater, Michigan, led the Wolverines to the national championship a couple of weeks ago. Before Michigan, Harbaugh was the head coach of the Niners for 4 seasons, took them to a Super Bowl. And with Harbaugh now with the Chargers, looks like Michigan is focused on naming offensive coordinator Sharon Moore as their new head coach. Now, this is great because life is about getting chances, right? So you wait a whole year, you're with somebody else, and now you get a chance to be on a team that can win a Super Bowl. So the Lions are getting ready to face the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Couple of big roster moves yesterday. They officially signed tight end Zach Ertz to the practice squad, and they promote defensive tackle Tyson Alualu from the practice squad. Both of these guys sitting around all year playing for other teams and waiting for a chance. And a couple of wins, these guys could win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Playing just a couple of games.
It's like
That'd
a
be
movie.
great.
It's like a movie.
It really is. I'll make a Disney movie about this.
It's so cool. Tyson Alualu, I'm happy for him. A longtime NFL vet. Finally gets his recognition, his chance to win some hardware.
By the way, if you look right now on the depth chart for the Detroit Lions, Tyson Alualu is the starting defensive tackle.
Love
they
it.
have him already penciled in as the starter.
Oh, this is awesome.
Ridiculous.
Zach Ertz can get a
Oh my
second
gosh.
ring. That's great.
I feel like they've been saving half the playbook for Ertz.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, everyone reporting eligible, and then you go to Zach Ertz.
Now, I know Bogish isn't here, but I think that his whole talk about, they're not even going to get on the field. He's just on the practice squad. Yeah, Bogish. What do you say now? Guys, in the starting lineup.
Can't take it out on Bogish. He's not here today. That's against the rules.
I am.
Peter, you kind of blew the bit here a little bit, though, because I wanted to point out that if a defensive tackle had come off the couch, you guys wouldn't have cared at all. I think it's the fact that Zach Ertz is probably going to catch a touchdown is what really annoys
Again,
you.
to my point, nobody should be allowed to sign anybody in the championship round.
What if your long snapper gets hurt or your punter gets hurt?
Yeah, long
Deal
snapper.
with it.
You got to have an emergency long snapper.
Have
I mean,
someone
come
on the
on.
practice squad.
Where are you
Everybody
gonna
knows
get
that.
I mean, listen, you're telling me a Super Bowl contender's worried about their emergency long
I
snapper?
saw a Texans guy who was, a DB, kick game-winning field goals for the Texans this year. I don't want to hear
That's not an ideal situation for the NFL playoffs.
Well, guess what? They weren't prepared. And this is a tight end. This is not a kicker. This is not a long snapper. You don't have another guy that can line up on the edge. You put Tyler Decker, whatever the hell his name was. Taylor Decker. You put Skipper out there. He's going there telling everybody, I'm eligible. You got guys who can play tight end.
You need all the red zone weapons at your disposal. Yes.
Come on.
So now you get a Tyson Alualu is also maybe in line to get a ring.
And by the way,
look at that.
I'll bet you at some point in his career, Tyson Alualu is lined up on offense, so maybe he gets a touchdown too.
Right.
He'll forever
Love
be
a
known.
big man touchdown. Oh yeah.
I can't wait
That
till
would
the
be the only thing
confetti.
that would kill a big man touchdown. Is that guy who's playing all season, signs with the Lions, and then helps them win a Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl by catching a touchdown.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Sunday night, I'm doing updates. I'm looking forward to playing the highlight of either Tyson
Zach Ertz.
Alualu doing something or Zach Ertz doing something.
As the
Sunday night.
confetti is falling and Tracy Wolfson going around finding people to interview, and all of a sudden Zach Ertz, Tyson Alualu, what does it mean?
Has it dawned
all
on you
season
guys,
for
by the
this.
way, that they might not be very good, and that's why they're available? I mean, Zach Ertz can't
That's
have a
not
lot
the
of
point. That's
lot
not the-
left in the tank.
That's not the point. We discussed that Phillip Rivers was in the cards a couple of years ago to be signed for the Super Bowl.
Last year.
Yeah,
Last
it's
year, yeah.
unbelievable. That should not be allowed.
Would have been cool, though.
And it's the idea, I think, for me, as Pete keeps elaborating, it's a championship game. There's an expectation that, hey, you guys grinded for 18 weeks, you beat all these teams, and now this team that rallied together is now in the championship game. Oh, by the way, here's this guy we signed yesterday who played for another team all season, and we're just bringing him in just for this one game. Who wants carpetbaggers and mercenaries for a one-game scenario for a championship?
It helps my team win, bring anybody in.
It would have been better if actually Zach Ertz had been playing for the 49ers earlier this season. Now that's the ultimate.
Yeah.
The little gamesmanship.
Anderson Varejao get a championship no matter what happens.
Yeah, when he got traded from the Cavs to the Warriors. or
Honestly, it'd be even better if they had someone a little younger and more athletic than Zach Ertz to come in and win a Super Bowl ring. If you're a fan, tell me if the Jets were ever in this situation, you would be happy for them to sign a guy.
But this I'm telling you guys, this is a slippery slope. What's going to happen is there's going to be a guy. There's going to be a Derrick Henry. There's going to be one of these guys who can actually play a little bit.
Well, Dalvin Cook is on the the Ravens.
He's garbage. I'm not going to count him. He's a great player for his career. He's not good right now. I don't want to call him garbage, but you know what I mean. There's going to be a guy who can play a little bit, who's going to be on the last year of his deal, and it's going to be hey, great service for you. Thank you for what you've done. You know what? To help you out, we're going to cut you today so you can go play for the Kansas City Chiefs next year week in the AFC Championship game. You guys are going to be like, oh, this is great. They got Derrick Henry in the AFC Championship game now.
That's like a fantasy trade. It would get nixed by the commissioner.
So let me just run this by. So 1991, the Jets go into the last game of the season.
The amount of Jets history.
Okay,
I'm just
but this applies to the conversation. No, this applies to the conversation. Their kicker was hurt. Pat Leahy was hurt, and they needed a kicker for the last game of the season, winning their in against the Dolphins. And they signed Raul Allegre. He kicks the game-tying field goal at the end of regulation and the game-winning field goal in overtime, and they go to the playoffs. Now, if they go on and win the Super Bowl that year with a kicker that they signed off the street, was that okay? But the Lions can't. The Lions can't sign a backup tight end in the playoffs?
I'm all for it.
Sounds fine with me.
I think it's okay. The opposite happened with Clemson this year. Do you guys remember?
Oh, yeah, the old guy, yeah.
The freshman was having trouble making kicks, so they found a year of eligibility for a guy who was about to move to New York and start his career on Wall Street. He came in for the freshman and ended up missing a chip shot, like 23-yarder, and Clemson lost to, I don't remember, Duke? Who was it?
I think it was FSU. I think I want to say. At this point now, and I want the Lions to win so bad, and I'm picking the Lions to win, but I really hope one of these guys screws up in a major way.
Yeah, I mean, come on. There should be, like I said before, my solution is at the end of the regular season, rosters freeze. You have a taxi squad of maybe 5 players on a practice squad that you go to if there's an emergency. They shouldn't be signing players during the postseason.
But you don't know what position you're going to need.
Well, then train guys, get guys ready to be emergency players.
I was a safety. Now you got to be a nose tackle. Get out there. Good luck to you.
Have a backup plan. No, you're going to sign everybody now?
I was a punter. Now I got to be a wide receiver.
I would only say if you were on another team's roster when the playoffs started and you get deactivated, then you can't go to another team. That would be the only thing. That would be the only thing.
Do we have any other headlines today?
By the way, it's not like
anything else happened in sports? Jim Harbaugh, anything?
It's not like they're bringing in a new closer for Game 6 of the ALCS.
It's about the same thing.
Zach Ertz is going to have 4 snaps,
what's
dude.
What's stopping them, though? That's my point, though. You don't understand the slippery slope that's going to happen.
When does it end?
Well,
he said every good player is under contract. Zach Ertz was at home watching us on his couch.
No, they cut him because he can do this. That's why they did. They didn't cut him because, you know what? You are terrible. Get out of here. They're like, hey, you may have a chance to go play for a contender, so we're going to cut you now.
And nobody signed him for 2 months.
The Eagles of all teams didn't even sign him.
Right, but they signed him now because they have one tight end on the roster.
Wait, there's got to be something else happening in sports today.
Well, you want me to get to this common story, EJ?
What do you think? Wait, what's the story? Was there an next break?
Let's do it now, then.
I was contractually obligated to read something, but he wants me to wait.
Okay, wait. Hold on to it. Can you give us a tease?
It has to do with Michael Jordan.
Okay, I like that tease.
It doesn't involve the Jets.
No, it doesn't.
Are we sure? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Peter, thank you. Still taking your calls on the multiverse question today, Multiverse of Maggie and Perloff. What if the Bears had drafted Patrick Mahomes in 2017 and not Mitchell Trubisky? Would Mahomes still be the great player that we know today? 855-212-4CBS. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Just be babies? Why can't babies 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 just be babies? Why can't...
Hello. Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Talking about our multiverse question, something we do on Thursdays around here. So if you like it, come on back. We do a sports what if and what could have been. Today we're asking what would have been different if Patrick Mahomes had been drafted by the Chicago Bears in 2017 instead of Mitchell Trubisky. Would Mahomes still have the career, be the great quarterback, or would he have fallen more towards the middle, a little more towards mediocrity? Perloff and I do not see this the same way. I think Mahomes would still be Mahomes. Would still be this all-time great player. Trubisky went to a team that ended up becoming a 12-5 team with Matt Nagy, who was in Andy Reid's coaching tree. He had a receiver like Allen Robinson. I think Mahomes would have elevated the other guys. There was a run game there. I think that Mahomes is still just awesome like he is now in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain rules in life that I follow. You know, never play cards with a guy who has the same first name as a city, that kind of thing. Never trust the Bears quarterback. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if it's Josh Allen. That C gets on the helmet and you forget how to play the position. They would have destroyed him like they have every other quarterback.
I mean, the fact that the Bears did make the playoffs twice with Trubisky.
Yeah, but so what? They made a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. That team was not quarterback driven.
No, but Mahomes is so much more talented than all of those guys. And it's not like they were turning in 2-win seasons. They still had something, and Mahomes would have elevated that. That's what I think.
Elevated to where they are with the Chiefs. That's what I'm saying. That was not going to happen.
855-212-4CBS. Bill is in California, wants to weigh in. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Maggie. Hey, before I weigh in on that, I just want to say I agree with Pete. Once the regular season's over, you shouldn't be able to add anybody else, especially if they're on another team and play for another team this year.
Honestly, this is Pete's new religion. Yeah. This is the biggest tenet you want to live your life by. It's not the golden rule, not anything like that. It's just thou shalt not sign a player before the championship.
It's only fair.
What else you got, Bill?
With that being said, it pains me to say this, but I'm on Perloff's side right here. As far as, maybe Mahomes would be the good player, but like Perloff's saying, he went to Kansas City where he was supposed to go under Andy Reid, playing his system, and look where he's at. And everybody he's the greatest thing and everything. And I agree, he's a great player. But let's take that and reverse it to where Purdy is. He may have got drafted by the right team, and he's playing in a good system, but just because he was 272, he is he's not the good quarterback. He's not this, he's not that, after he's been proven. So if he would have been chosen 271, would he be a good quarterback? I mean, he's going through the same thing. Mahomes went to Reid, and he plays that system. Why do we give so much grief to Purdy for being good? Because he was 272.
Well, Bill, okay, I don't see this as apples to apples, but go ahead.
I think one of the reasons is, and I understand, I agree with that sentiment that Purdy is sort of mislabeled as Mr. Irrelevant, so we can't believe he's good. But the weapons are so extreme in San Francisco with McCaffrey and Kittle and Debo and Ayuk that I think...
And with Shanahan.
Yeah, and with Shanahan, that I think it was a little more tailor-made than Mahomes. Mahomes didn't... As I recall, he was drafted in 2017. We didn't know that Tyreek Hill was Tyreek Hill. We didn't know Travis Kelce was Travis Kelce. It all kind of grew up together.
Let's go to Steven. He's in Seattle. Hey, Steven.
Hey, good morning. I just want to really touch base that it's more of the system than the quarterback itself. Patrick Mahomes, he is the great quarterback, but all the quarterbacks that play under Andy Reid all touched the Pro Bowl. Donovan McNabb, Trent Green, Alex Smith, I mean, that has to play a factor. We can't dismiss that.
No, Steven, I don't think we are. And Perloff, thank you for the phone call. And Perloff, you point that out a lot, that Andy Reid has done, has turned guys into Pro Bowlers. Do we really think that Mahomes would not have been a Pro Bowler? Okay, maybe you don't think he would have won 2 Super Bowls if he was drafted by the Bears and not the Chiefs. Do we really think he would have not been a Pro Bowler? I mean, that's getting crazy.
No. I'm not saying that. That's way too far. I think he would have been a very good quarterback. But I honestly think he'd be on a different team at a certain point. I don't think Chicago could have even kept him.
Do you think Justin Fields, like if Justin Fields goes to Atlanta or something?
Starting to think. I'd like to see what Justin Fields does on another team. Then again, Trubisky stunk when he went to a new team. So, but I don't know. I do. This is really actually an important question because Caleb Williams, there's never been a guy who's closer to Patrick Mahomes than Caleb Williams. Can he overcome the curse?
Well, again, I wish they had put him with a coach that was a little bit more, I don't know. Eberflus is a defensive guy. That's not a bad thing. It's not a knock on him personally, but if you're going to have Caleb Williams, the fact that you decided to only clean house on the offensive side and not go as far with head coach, to me is baffling.
Probably, that's a good point, but I do like this Shane Waldron guy because he made Geno Smith look so good, so that gives you a fighting chance.
Okay. Geno Smith and Caleb Williams to me are not same.
But Geno Smith is the most improved quarterback I've ever seen in my life. So I'll give him. Shane Waldron's good.
855-212-4CBS. Lots more to do, including Jim Harbaugh makes it official.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Be babies. Why can't babies just be babies? Why can't...
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, it looks like the perfect marriage, doesn't it? Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Jim Harbaugh. They make it official. He's the new head coach of the LA Chargers, Perloff. And on paper, this makes all the sense in the world.
Yes, not just on paper. In the real world, too. It makes all the sense.
Wait. Okay. And yes, it does. And it's a good hire, and it's the right hire, and the Chargers are doing the right thing here. So congrats to them. And for Justin Herbert, This is like welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. However, there are some things that are out of a coach's control. And to think that those factors may not come into play here for the Chargers is being a bit naive. This could take off like wildfire. They could be in the AFC Championship game next year. However, some things that even the greatest coaches just have no control over are things that have happened for the Chargers. For example, this is an injured roster. It has been injured. And whether it's older guys getting injured, like their wide receivers and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, or Keenan Allen's played 23 games out of 34 possible games in the last 2 years. Mike Williams has played 16 out of 34 games. So you got the older guys and the wide receivers. And you got young guys like Joey Bosa, who played 14 games in the last 2 years.
Right.
These are things that Jim Harbaugh cannot change.
Well, he specifically can change Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Both of them might be gone. You might be starting Quentin Johnson and Marvin Harrison Jr., a wide receiver. Although Quentin Johnson is quite a polarizing. The rookie wide receiver out of TCU has a lot of work to do. But they could, I think they're definitely not bringing both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back. They are old. But at a certain point, you're going to have to shed those old guys anyway. And I think part of the reason is they bring in these 30-plus guys and they get hurt. So I think you're going to have some regression to normal injury luck.
Well, okay, but now you're taking away a lot of talent as well. Yes.
Mike, but these guys aren't on the field, so you're not really taking away a lot of talent.
Okay, there are also guys who get paid a lot. And we were kind of curious why the former Chargers GM, Tom Telesco, so quickly got a new job with the Las Vegas Raiders when this is a team he put together that's $45 million over the salary cap, and the Justin Herbert contract hasn't even started yet. It hasn't even really kicked in. These aren't the big cap hits yet. So you have this team way over the salary cap. You have absolutely nothing to show for it. And Jim Harbaugh is going to inherit a very difficult cap situation. There's no GM right now in place in LA.
Well, I think the reason Telesco got a job, especially with a team like the Raiders, is Telesco picks good players. He's a good drafter, which means that you have good players who get paid a lot. So even with getting rid of these old expensive players, you still have a lot of good players there. That's not going to be Jim Harbaugh's problem. It's not going to be lack of talent. The other reasons you brought up throughout the show that he faces an ownership challenge. The Spanos seem way too interventionist.
Well, I was getting to that.
Yeah, sorry. But I mean, the other challenges are real. You can't say he doesn't have talent there. That one doesn't make any sense.
No, he does have talent, but you have razor thin margins for error when you are in what they are, which is salary cap hell. And again, the Herbert contract isn't even that's not even what I'm talking about here. You are in salary cap hell for other reasons, and that can make the quick, super fast turnaround. That can make it a lot more challenging.
I think there's a lot of young talent in the building, too, and that Harbaugh's going to bring the best of it. I understand what you're saying. It's very valid. The salary cap's not good. I think they could get rid of the Khalil Mack and the Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and just still have tons of horses there.
Okay, but I'm asking you, and I know that Harbaugh's had good luck in identifying good coordinator talent, but who are you bringing in as your defensive coordinator? And that was Vic Fangio for all those years in San Francisco. And it looks like, by all accounts, he's signing with your Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I mean, yes, but he hasn't signed yet. I mean, if he gets a call from his old boss, maybe.
Yeah, well, the whole story was he wanted to be closer to his family in Pennsylvania. So I don't think Los Angeles really helps that. Anyway,
yeah, but
that's around the margins. I think the roster is one part of it that could end up becoming a challenge. Now, you are picking 5th overall, so you have a nice spot there to shore up some talent. But it's not like you're walking into a perfect situation. Of course you're not, or else the former head coach would still be there. The ownership side of this, which we talk about with Jerry Jones, we talk about with Daniel Snyder, and I'm not saying that the Spanos family is as bad as Dan Snyder, as bad as David Tepper, or as meddling as Jerry Jones. But we do see how ownership has a tendency, if it's not great, to become a major obstacle. The Spanos family is what you would call an obstacle.
Yeah, but Jim Harbaugh has got so much clout now coming off a national title. He can ignore those people. By the way, he had the worst GM in the league probably in Trent Baalke and did nothing but win in San Francisco, even though Baalke turned out to be making a lot of mistakes there. That's not fair. Not the worst GM, but he did have a lot of problems with the front office in San Francisco and won and then had to leave. So he could deal with a bad management group. And I think right now, Jim Harbaugh is fully empowered. It's not a situation where Jerry Jones or Woody Johnson or somebody is going to make a call. He has all the power right now today. And I think the Chargers, he went in there and said, hey, I'm going to run it my way. And I think they had to acquiesce.
So what kind of general manager are you actually getting?
Who cares? You got Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, but then you're asking. If I'm a general manager, I don't know if I want to sign up to work with Jim Harbaugh because I know my opinion is never going to win.
Yeah, I don't think you need a good GM here. As you pointed out earlier, Jim Harbaugh knows these college players. He's going to be able to draft. He knows all the elite guys.
So there's another part of this with Jim Harbaugh. And again, good hire by the Chargers. Like he is the crown jewel of this hiring cycle.
Well, I just want to say the Chargers was the crown jewel of this hiring cycle on the other side too. This is by far the best opportunity because of Herbert, and they have a left. What team has a left tackle and a quarterback with Rashawn Slater? That is a very rare situation.
So there's another part of this that we haven't talked about yet, which is why this looks really good on paper. But is this a slam dunk? You can never say that. We thought Sean Payton was a slam dunk, and that first year was pretty dramatic and pretty bad. So Jim Harbaugh just spent 9 years at Michigan. That was actually surprising that he spent that long in one place. He is the type of coach who shines bright and burns bright. And he just signed reportedly a 5-year deal with the Chargers. I'd bet good money that he doesn't see the end of that 5-year deal. So if this is the first instance where he can't turn things around to the level that people are expecting immediately, because that San Francisco, they had Alex Smith. We had no idea who Kaepernick was at that point.
Yeah, they didn't have anybody.
Right. So it came out of nowhere. You're walking in with expectations because of Herbert.
Yep.
You are walking into a much different NFL environment because of the expectations that you did with San Francisco. There's not a lot of warm-up that you're going to get here. So if things don't go well right out of the gate, Harbaugh has a tendency to just sort of move on.
But his tendency is to move on when things are good, not when things are bad.
Well,
He's moved on. He was winning in San Francisco, left. He just won a title in Michigan, left. So I think... Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. 5 years seems like a long time there, but I'll bet you he's in the Super Bowl within that 5 years and then probably leaves.
Okay,
that's more his modus operandi.
You're right, but we haven't seen if this doesn't go according to plan, how quickly does he bail? Okay, I'm told that EJ has some breaking news.
That I do. So, according to Adam Schefter, former Dolphins defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is traveling to Philadelphia this morning to officially sign the contract to become Eagles' new defensive coordinator per league source.
Okay, so there you go. He is not going to be going with Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. He's going to be signing on with your Philadelphia Eagles.
This is a crucial time for the Philadelphia Eagles defense because they are old and lack talent. So Vic Fangio, listen, everyone is giving me these numbers about his defense, really good when everyone was healthy. Did they give up 48 to your Bills? Did they?
Yeah.
It did seem like Mahomes, even that cold game, was struggling much against them.
They were kind of injured.
They're a little bend, don't break. Yeah, I mean, they actually had their guys, and Philly scored 31 on them when Philly's offense was totally faltering. Against good teams, I thought Miami's defense was very normal. I'm a little nervous about this.
Well, the whole thing about Miami was who have they beaten?
Yeah. Fangio had great numbers when they played the Jets. I mean, I think that he kind of padded it with a weak division with the Patriots and the Jets there. So I'm a little nervous. He's a little more bend, don't break. I am so worried about the Eagles' personnel on defense that I like this hire, but I can't feel good about it.
Okay, so we're talking about Jim Harbaugh. His coordinator for when he was in San Francisco, defensive coordinator, was Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's not available because he's going from the Dolphins to the Philadelphia Eagles. Is everyone paying attention? Everyone kept keeping up. There's a Miami Dolphins side of this, too, which is Fangio was hailed as a true victory of a hire, and he lasted a season. Now,
well, it was complicated. That's a little oversimplification because he wanted to go with the Eagles last year, but the Eagles couldn't hire him because of timing.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
On the Dolphins side, that was hailed as a victory of a hire.
But they knew that it might be short term because they knew Fangio wanted to be in Philly.
Okay, well, we have Javon Holland on social media literally kicking rocks the day that Vic Fangio decides to leave. If you can't understand the blatant symbolism of that, kick rocks means get lost. So, okay.
I took a few minutes to understand why Javon Holland was kicking rocks. I'm like, first of all, it looks like it hurts. Second of all, what's he saying here? And
That's what he's saying.
I wasn't even totally sure. The Dolphins, like he left the Dolphins. I didn't feel like the Dolphins were super sad about him saying I'm done.
They called it mutually agreed to leave.
Okay,
or
I'm just
parlays,
saying,
whatever.
We're getting further away from what the point is here, guys. The point is what could be going on with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to get to. Can everyone just follow me down the primrose path here for a second?
I got you.
Can I talk about the 1960s Jets here?
Not now. Wait 5 minutes. We have a Dolphins situation that's not so cut and dry.
Wait, Vic Fangio signs with the Eagles, and nobody cares about the Dolphins defensive coordinator. Everyone focuses on this is Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins offense. Put anybody in a defensive coordinator. What's the difference?
I'm just saying there are some crossroads here that are going on with Miami Dolphins.
So what are some scenarios? What do you think could happen?
Well, they didn't end the season that great. They had the 2 seed wrapped up with a home game against my struggling Buffalo Bills and couldn't close them out. You've got a decision on whether or not to pay Tua. You have decisions now on the defense. You've got an aging owner who we know has no patience whatsoever. And you've got just lots of question marks here. I mean, we're not that far away from reports out of South Florida that Mike McDaniel was on the hot seat. And you go to Kansas City and you lose. Yeah, it was minus 30, but the Chiefs are playing in that weather too.
I'm a little worried about Mike McDaniel, to be honest. I'm very worried, actually.
People love him, but I don't know if the owner has patience.
I don't trust Stephen Ross. And dare I say, and I'm not that optimistic, but I don't think the cakewalk the AFC East was this year will be the same next year if Aaron Rodgers plays 17 games. 17 games, 18 weeks.
New sheriff in town in New England. You're going to draft a quarterback. If Gerard Mayo's telling us the truth, which I think he is, it's going to be difficult. I just think there is a domino effect that's happening here that you don't see.
I'm surprised by this because, listen, is there anything we're more excited to see than a healthy Devon Achane coming downhill next year with we saw this system can work. Now, if they can just get everybody healthy on defense, if they didn't get injured, they're clearly winning the AFC East, getting a home playoff game. Things just went south this year, no pun intended.
No, they did get injured, especially on the line. But remember, they also got Jalen Ramsey back midway through the season. There were other things that happened in their favor.
Phillips and Bradley Chubb. There's no way, no team loses 2 Pro Bowl level defensive linemen and continues to win. It's never happened.
But they were getting housed by the Ravens with Bradley Chubb playing 3.5 quarters. It wasn't like the Bradley Chubb injury reason why they lost those games before.
Oh, that was in the Ravens game.
That was the Ravens game.
He lived off.
Him and Tua got
Remember,
hurt
because
in the
they
fourth
should have been playing in the first place.
Yeah, they were
getting
gave up
blown
50
out.
points in that game. However many points they scored.
Obviously, the season took a gigantic turn when Tyreek Hill either twisted his ankle or turned his knee. Look at Tyreek Hill's numbers the second half. Again, yes, they're a little fragile. I'll give you that. But if you have all the weapons going with Miami and Mike McDaniel, they're obviously a good team.
So there you have it. Some coaching news for you. Jim Harbaugh gets hired by the Chargers. Got some domino effects happening there. And then we just got the news that it's going to be official. Vic Fangio is going to take over for Philadelphia as their defensive coordinator. So a lot going on. So glad to have you with us. 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, we will break down the Ravens and the Chiefs. Position by position, basically. Who has the edge? We get to all of that next. Do not move a muscle. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Love that 80s jamming guitar in the background. Let's go. All right, Maggie. We have a little AFC title game to break down. Earlier, we broke down unit by unit the Niners-Lions game. Let's turn to the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Okay, so let's start with the defense here. We'll save the quarterbacks for the end. Let's start with the defense. Now, this is tough because the Chiefs are turning in one of the best defenses that they've had in the Mahomes era.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it falls just short of the Ravens, who are basically top one or at least top three and first in most statistical categories on defense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's look at the results here. They held the San Francisco 49ers to 19 points. They held Miami to 19 points. They held your Jacksonville Jaguars to 7 points. They had one tough game against Matthew Stafford. Not only are they good against everybody, they're good against the good teams. This defense, they may be a little no-name. They are a swarming, amorphous blob of tacklers. They are so tough. They are so underrated, and they are so dangerous. This is Baltimore. I agree. Kansas City has been a revelation on defense. Baltimore by a large stretch.
Well, especially in the passing game. I mean, you have the Chiefs up front, and the Ravens up front are really good too. But the secondary for the Ravens, they're like third in interceptions this year, where the Chiefs are 27th in interceptions. Like, they are ball hawks. You cannot make a mistake.
In part, too, because they have had such good, so much success up front.
Yeah.
And they're getting guys like Jadeveon Clowney and Van Noy, guys we had totally forgotten about, are playing their best there. There seems to be something about the whole being better than the pieces. They just know how to play Ravens football.
Okay, now the skill position. So we're both going to agree the Ravens have the slight edge on defense there, or the edge on defense.
I say edge.
Edge.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to say
Kansas City's great. Wait till Lamar Jackson starts scrambling. Then we'll see how great Kansas City is. Anyway.
Skill position players. Now this gets a little trickier.
This is so weird. I cannot believe I'm saying this because the Ravens have the edge in the skill position players. And when on earth would we have ever said that?
And I'm actually going to still go with the Chiefs on this one. It's better skill position players for the Ravens compared to other iterations of the Ravens. But Kelsey, even if Kelsey doesn't play a ton of snaps these days, he seemed to be coming out of the game quite a bit against Buffalo.
Yeah, de-emphasized a bit.
A little bit, but Pacheco, I know he's got a bit of an ankle, but I think he was a DNP in practice, actually, but he should be fine. I got to just go with those guys. I know that just don't give the ball to McCole Hardman. Don't give the ball to Kadarius Toney. MVS is still good for a catch or two.
You're not nervous about MVS?
I am, but one bad call against the Browns, that actually should have been, that should not have been the disappointment it was. MVS is still good for one or two catches a game.
The Ravens found a star in Zay Flowers, a rookie wide receiver. They found a star in Isaiah Likely, their tight end. And then Mark Andrews, the all-pro tight end, is coming back. Odell is still dangerous. You don't hear his name all the time, but he's still good. You got Aguilar is playing. It's unbelievable. They said we're going to get some weapons for you, Lamar, and they actually delivered. That never happens in the NFL. I don't trust the Chiefs receivers that are not Rashee Rice. So it's weird to say. I think the Ravens actually have a significant edge here. If you don't have Mahomes hitting guys in the numbers, then the Chiefs are in trouble.
Yes, thank you for mentioning Rashee Rice, because he limped off with a hamstring against Buffalo. Full participation in practice yesterday just to clean that up. Okay, so we disagree on the skill position players. Coach, I know where you're going with this one.
This is a hard one because in the game, I don't trust him, but I give the prep edge to Andy Reid here because Andy Reid, give him a little bit of time. He's famously great off a bye. I think he puts that kind of energy into his game plan for a playoff game like this. I think he's going to have a way to attack this defense. And I also think Steve Spagnuolo is going to learn from what the Texans did wrong against Lamar Jackson and at least have a strategy. I'm not going to say it's going to work, but they're going to try something here. I give a slight edge to Kansas City.
Now, I can't disagree. Andy Reid is awesome, and Spagnuolo is a great big game defensive coordinator. I got to give the edge, though, to the Ravens here. You have Mike McDaniel has been this defensive coordinator that has just been incredible against the best teams.
On fire.
He should be a head coach. I know defensive head coach is a little harder to get hired, but he's the real deal. And then give me Todd Monken reinventing and revitalizing this offense. You got your CEO head coach of John Harbaugh, who is a good in-game coach. I mean, not everyone's perfect, but he's better than Andy Reid.
Harbaugh has had some famous mistakes
too.
All the good coaches make mistakes at the end of games.
But I trust him more than I would trust Andy Reid as in a time management situation.
I will say one thing. I think the Ravens are clearly on paper a better team right now. Andy Reid's a bit of a special sauce here for the Chiefs and Mahomes.
Also, I know we didn't talk about this with the 49er game, but kickers, these guys are good.
Yeah.
Justin Tucker and Bucker is amazing. He's a great bad weather kicker. Can we get the forecast, by the way, in Baltimore, please, as we go to quarterback?
Well, now, it's funny. Can I go first?
Yeah, well, of course. We have some sound from these quarterbacks. Do you want to play it?
Okay, yeah, we could play the sound.
Let's hear first from Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no, it's challenging. The way he's able to just be a competitor and score the football, obviously, and then their entire team. I mean, it's a tall task. You got to go out there and play your best football, and if you make any mistakes, it seems like the game's going to go the other way. So we've been able to play in a couple games, not in a few years now, but I've admired watching him from afar and know that it's going to be a great challenge for us every time we go up against him. He's going to be the MVP for a reason. I mean, he goes out there, he leads his team, he scores, he runs, he throws, he does whatever it takes to win, and that's what the greats do.
Okay, so that was Patrick Mahomes heaping a little praise on Lamar. Let's hear Lamar talking about Patrick Mahomes.
I don't like competing against him at all. But, yeah, I mean, he's a great quarterback. Definitely a Hall of Famer. It's not even it's a no-brainer. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. But it's just, I believe it's just two greats, up-and-coming greats just going toe-to-toe, like a heavyweight fight.
More from Lamar? That's it. Okay. There you go. Lamar Jackson. We'll unpack a little bit of that. Make your point on who's got the edge here.
Well, I was going to go off the kickers.
Okay.
Because it's two great kickers, right? But Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker of all time. The single best kicker in the history of the NFL. So he gets the edge. This is two great quarterbacks. But Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback. And it sounds like I'm denigrating Lamar to say he's below it. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's the new Tom Brady. This is a very hard choice because no one's playing better than Lamar Jackson, but Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, not just today, of the next 10 years. So Mahomes definitely has the edge here.
Okay, Mahomes is the greatest. I'll give you that. I didn't love that quote from Lamar, even though he's joking around a little bit. I want him saying, I live to be in these games. I only want to be in these games. I don't want to face anyone less and test myself against anyone less but the best. Now he was being a little jokey. He's playing to the room of reporters. He got the big laugh. Okay.
That's why quarterbacks don't want to do press conferences because you're picking him apart for that. Like, he's just like, get me off this podium so I could go watch tape some more.
He played to the crowd and he got the laugh. So there you go. I think Lamar is just playing better.
If I have a problem with either of those quotes, by the way, Mahomes saying score the football, I've heard score the basketball. I hate that expression. What does score the football mean? He said it 3 times. Lamar can score the football.
The only people who score footballs are kickers.
Yeah.
Because they actually put the ball through something like a hoop or
score the football.
A goal post. Pat Mahomes doesn't put the ball through anything.
I think that over the goal line, I think that Lamar is playing better.
Better than Patrick Mahomes?
Mahomes is amazing.
Did he make a single mistake against your Bills last week?
No, actually, Patrick Mahomes hasn't thrown an interception in like the last 3 playoff games he's played in. He's almost mistake free. He's incredible, but Lamar is the MVP. He is having the better season. And so for that reason, in this game, I would take Lamar Jackson.
It's funny because they're two completely different quarterbacks, right? Lamar ran for 100, threw for 100 last week. It is two completely strategic different challenges. Right now, I would love to be in the room with the Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel, saying, what do you take away from Kansas City? Because I don't think it's Kelsey. I think you take away Rice. And then Kansas City's figure out, what do you take away from Baltimore? It's hard against Baltimore because if you take away Lamar's running, that means he's going to hit Odell or something. It is too impossible. Can we just call it a tie? Why can't we do a tie here?
It's no such thing.
It's Mahomes. Let's put that out as a poll, by the way. Who's the better quarterback in this matchup? It's Mahomes, and you know it, Maggie.
Well, Mahomes is going to win that poll because he's Patrick Mahomes. But if you're asking who is having the better season, who's having the better season?
It's a little bit like Michael Jordan didn't win the MVP every year, but he was still Michael Jordan.
Lamar's having the better season. There's just no way around it.
Is he really, though? He's on a better team, so how can you tell? I mean, first of all, if Patrick Mahomes' receivers could catch the ball, he would have 45 touchdowns and 8 picks.
Okay, but Perloff, they're pretty close. This is basically like the 1 and 2 defenses. So not like you're asking Patrick Mahomes and he has to do a lot more, but is Lamar Jackson, where are the Ravens on the passing? Are they the 17th best passing offense in the league? I'm not sure that it's so cut and dry that Lamar Jackson's better. Well, I think he's definitely having the better season. If you only look at passing numbers with Lamar, then you're missing half of the greatness of Lamar.
I think it's closer. I mean, you have the best defense in the league, and you have an unstoppable rushing attack. I think there are a lot of advantages Lamar has. To say he's better than Patrick Mahomes or even had a better season, to me, that doesn't tell the whole story.
Peter Schwartz is here. He's got some headlines for us.
We sure do. After guiding his alma mater, Michigan, to a national championship, Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL after agreeing to a 5-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, as far as Michigan is concerned, they are reportedly focusing in on naming offensive coordinator and line coach Sharon Moore as their new head coach. The Falcons interviewed former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel for their head coaching vacancy yesterday. And this morning, the Bengals promote quarterbacks coach Dan Pitcher to offensive coordinator. And reports say that the Eagles are going to name Vic Fangio their new defensive coordinator today after he left the Miami Dolphins yesterday. To the NBA, the Wizards fired head coach Wes Unseld Jr. today. He moves to a front office advisory position. Last night, the Wizards lost again to the T-Wolves 118-107. They're now.
What did they think was going to happen this season? Did they think they were going to be a good team?
It's I don't know what they were doing.
No one cares about the Wizards.
I know, but it's still I feel bad for Wes Unseld Jr. I mean, his dad's a legend in the organization.
Yeah.
And
that's tough.
You get fired after a year and a half, basically.
So this is what happens. I mean, John Thompson's son gets fired by Georgetown. Like this happens when your dad was a legend there. Doesn't always mean it's going to translate.
It's tough shoes to fill. It becomes even tougher. Patrick Ewing had to get fired by Georgetown, and he was a legendary player there. It's tough. That's a tough thing. And it's 7-36, and everybody made a big deal about it, and rightfully so, how bad the Pistons were with that long losing streak. And they're the Wizards at 7-36.
Yeah, and they're probably going to have maybe the number one pick or close to it, and not a great draft.
Yeah, the worst draft in 10 years.
Yeah, right.
It sounds right about on brand for Washington.
I'll tell you what, though, the opposing players, when I covered the Wizards when I was in college in D.C., the opposing team loved coming to D.C.
Why? Strip clubs?
Why is that?
Just the great, good party city for that circuit.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, in ranking the NBA cities when it comes to party cities, I wouldn't think Washington would get them excited.
No, I think it's a good town for hookups.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Not clubs and stuff. No, it's not Miami or New York or LA.
I'm thinking Atlanta, Houston.
Yeah.
Right. Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, as Drake says.
It's another good town for hookups. The 30 NBA, all 30 towns are good towns for NBA hookups. Daryl Dawkins used to say that Utah was his favorite spot because if any woman talked to him in Salt Lake City, that meant it was on. These are
if any
NBA
woman
players.
was out past 10.
There was one era of Washington. I think Washington's the most irrelevant basketball franchise. Do you remember when Weber and Howard were there and Rashid? Weber and Rashid were together. Yeah. There was a moment where that franchise could have been cool, and it's long gone.
Well, I mean, before Gilbert was toting guns, they were pretty
Gilbert
cool
Arenas was
too.
fun to watch.
Yeah.
Were they ever really a threat to win the title though?
No, they were a threat to make it to the second round of the playoffs.
Not winning a championship with the
Weber and Rashid. Oh my gosh, Weber should have made it with the Kings, and Rashid did win a ring.
I don't think they ever won 50 games together.
Was Ben Wallace on that?
No, they were
team
really
too?
young, and then Weber left really.
Yeah, they both got traded early.
They should never have changed their name.
Well,
Ooh, hot take.
Yeah,
the wrong take.
I just don't like change.
So you can get bullets.
Okay. Wow, life must be.
What about
really
all the?
tough.
But that name was fine for all those years, and so why change
Well,
it?
I don't want to put you on the spot here, but what about the Native American names that get changed? I'm sure you're okay with that. The Washington football team.
Well, because it's disrespectful to a race and that group of people. But I mean, you basically by changing the Bullets name, you're basically admitting that your city had some kind of crime problem. But I don't think that was
the mayor was smoking crack. I think that was
the connotation of Washington Bullets. They had a historical, legacy with that name, and they had great players that I didn't see a reason why they needed to change.
I just think they picked the wrong name to switch to.
You should always do alliteration. Okay, if you don't want to do the Bullets, do something with a B. I don't know what, but keep it close. Keep it in the family.
I don't think this is a hot take, but I think Washington football team should have kept Washington football team. I thought that was really cool.
I like that name. Because it was cool.
It was like soccer.
Yeah.
Well, everyone clowned it at the
Commanders
beginning because it was
terrible.
WFT. It was close to WTF.
Washington FC. They could have made them Washington FC.
But the only thing
brand.
only thing worse than Wizards is Commanders. I mean, that's the worst nickname in all of pro sports by 50 miles.
I think Wizards might be the worst.
That logo
so
is also
stupid.
maybe the worst logo.
And worst uniforms.
Oh, their mascot. Listen, I went to 82 of their home games over 2 years. It's rough.
They just need a whole rebuild. Just scrap everything they did. Just start all over.
if you're going to keep the Wizard's name, really play up the Wizard factor. Have like
What?
Magellan
Gandalf?
there. Like, really play it up.
Harry Potter's playing the two.
Yeah.
They get
Yeah.
to ride around on broomsticks.
Nothing is hipper than wizards. What are you talking about?
Playing in the castle. That could be another thing.
Peter, do you have a problem with Utah being the Jazz, even though there's no
Yes, I
Jazz in
do.
Utah, and the Lakers being the Lakers, even though there are no lakes in
that
LA?
name should have been changed when they left.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Yeah.
Listen, Peter doesn't like change.
I'm not.
Back in the kitchen, women.
I do like the
Kidding.
Yankees' new uniforms, though.
I didn't see those.
They're changing the road uniforms.
I thought the New York Yankees, that's our thing. They keep the same uniform.
Well, they're going back to the way it looked like in like the 50s and 60s with no trim on the New York. It's going to be just a solid blue New York on the front with blue numbers and no stripe on the sleeve. So it's more of a...
too.
Excuse me?
All made of wool, too.
No, they hired George Costanza back.
Yeah.
They're going to change the polyester.
Yeah,
For those Seinfeld fans.
The meltdown that occurred at my old job at WFAN when the Yankees dared to put a Nike swoosh on the pinstripes, you would have thought that they dug up the grave of Babe Ruth and paraded him down.
You know, I do get on my guy Perloff's nerves a little bit, but the one thing he's always right about, the Yankees suck. I'm sorry, he's 100% right about
Share
that.
that with you after the update, EJ.
Sorry.
What else we got, Peter?
I lost my place here.
Oh, I got one for you. How about this?
It was
Tell me if this is a party you would like to go to or you wouldn't like to go to.
Ooh.
So Jeff Bezos had his birthday party
I'm
over
there.
the weekend. He's 60
Yeah.
years old.
I don't want to be there.
Okay, let me read you some of the guest lists, and you tell me are these people you'd like to mingle with or not? Jay-Z and Beyonce,
Yes.
Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner,
Not so much.
Ciara, Russell Wilson.
Definitely with Ciara.
As long as they're serving Subway sandwiches, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're serving the Subway sandwich. Oprah, Gayle King, Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, Kendall Jenner. I'm not done. Bob Iger, Bill Gates, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
I'm going to pass on that part.
Some of those people, yes. Not
Imagine
all of
getting
them.
Some.
You get cornered into a conversation. What do you say to Bill Gates? Thanks for the computers.
You start off strong with Beyonce and Jay-Z. No, I would definitely go to that.
I would want nothing to do with that party. I'm sorry.
I mean, you have some know-it-alls at that
Yeah.
party. If you ever go to a party with a
Who gets a word in edgewise? when
Yeah,
it's
Bob
between-
Iger and Bill Gates. I'd like to see that conversation.
Oprah's just interrogating every person with important, tough questions.
Oprah's there. I'm walking away with a car, so I'm down with that.
You think she's still giving them away? This is the last group that needs a car.
They're all exchanging bank books.
What was that?
Imagine those insufferable conversations must happen between these people.
Can we get an invite to the Michael Rubin White party, though, which had the same guest list? That
How would you like to attempt to get in there?
I have no idea. I mean, there are a lot of the same people that I think Russell Wilson and Ciara went to that
Some
party.
of them, but there are a lot more cooler people than.
Well, it's just more of a
I don't know.
basketball
Bill Gates.
crowd. It's like, Joel Embiid and James Harden, those guys.
Yeah.
It's like DJ Khaled,
Well, by the way, Maggie didn't mention DJ Khaled is definitely performing at this party.
No,
He's
he
at
did.
every party.
You know who performed? Katy Perry.
Definitely passing.
Definitely. You don't like
I'm
Katy
sorry,
Perry?
Paris
No.
Hilton was
I
also
do.
there. So
I wanted
and
to get
Jewel, the singer. I've
I like
actually met
Jewel.
her.
Not bad.
She is cool.
Jewel's cool.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I wanted to get to this last hour. One of the great catchphrases from The Rock when he wrestled was "Know your role and shut your mouth." So Michael Jordan basically told that to Chicago-born MC Common after the Bulls great watched the rapper in a 2010 celebrity basketball game. Common sharing that story this week on Late Night with Seth Meyers.
I ended up after the game going to Michael Jordan's Brand Jordan party, and he said, "Common, come here," and I, gave him a little love, and he said in my ear, "Yeah, stick to rapping and acting." I was like, Mike, man, I just killed it on the court, but not to him.
Common did not listen to Jordan, and he went on 10 years later, won the 2020 Celebrity Game MVP, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals.
So Common was a ball boy for the Chicago Bulls growing up. So I think he might be a part owner of the Hornets when Jordan was there. Was he part of that ownership group? He might have been. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Anyway,
I gotta tell you one thing. I could use a little bit less of that Common commercial where he's looking at himself in the mirror. How many times does that air during a football game?
So this is not their fault, right? I feel bad sometimes for some of these celebrities who have these commercials because I don't know about you guys, but on Sunday I'm watching a quad box.
Oh, so you get the 4 at the same time.
My phone plus the iPad and the laptop. So I'm watching these commercials 30 times in one day. That's not their fault.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. I know one thing. I have a very irrational dream.
Okay. White party?
No.
Bezos 61st?
No.
Katy Perry?
What Common just talked about. I want to play in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to start manifesting.
Good luck. I tried that one.
You tried that? Didn't work out?
They put Russillo in over me. Oh, yeah, I tried hard. I put in a lot of the height of DP show fame. I'm like, yes.
Crushing my dreams here, Perloff.
Yeah.
Got you in a couple Sandler movies. Not a bad consolation prize.
Got to bring back Rock and
I did get to play against the Globetrotters. That was awesome. But I got to tell you, getting to the guy, you know who wins the MVP every year? Alan Toussaint, the famous Peloton guy who was in my Saturday morning run. I'm better than him. I tell you, I could score 6
So
points.
you want to play him? I want to play Quavo. Like Quavo goes there, he always goes up. He scores 20 or whatever. I think I can take Quavo.
Man, I'm surprised you guys
He's a
didn't
lefty,
say
right?
Yes, he is a lefty.
Former Education Secretary Arnie Duncan.
No. I'm taking Win Butler to the hole every time. The Arcade Fire. That guy showed up about 14 straight years for the tour that game.
You would hate this if you were in attendance. I went to an Arcade Fire concert at Madison Square Garden when I was still allowed at the Garden, and they're such big Houston Rockets fans that he started talking about beating the Knicks, and I thought the crowd was going to turn on him.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was a bold move.
I was like, he's from Houston, isn't he? That's interesting.
It's like when Trae Young showed up at WWE SmackDown.
I was there for that. I snuck in the Garden for that.
I was like, that scene past the...
I know. I wore the mask.
Yeah.
And they didn't pick me up on
Little
that.
Trae Young,
trench coat,
killed it
sunglasses.
in a wrestling ring. What happened here?
He came out for SmackDown. Actually, Pat McAfee was there. He was still doing SmackDown. It was the first thing I attended, first event I attended after the pandemic. WWE had a really big party. Pete and I were there together.
Yeah, that's right.
And we got to go to this fun, cool mixer, right?
Yes.
And then watch SmackDown from a suite.
Oh, it was great.
It was awesome. And Trae Young was there, and he came out, and they started chanting F Trae Young.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then he tried to attack, I don't know, it was Ricochet, I think maybe. And he got thrown out of the match. He came out to help Sami Zayn, who was, going heel at that point. And he's like, oh, I got somebody you Knicks fans will love. And out comes Trae Young in a Trae Young jersey. It was fantastic.
I got to be honest. The Knicks have a problem with Trae Young?
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Why? He's harmless.
Torched him in the playoffs.
Oh, my God. No, I'm not doing this. You did Giannis, Kelsey, and Mahomes. Fine. You are not going to sit here and tell me Trae Young is likable. Give me
I don't
a
say
break.
he's likable. He's harmless. I would say he's in a wrestling ring. I could actually take him in a wrestling ring. He weighs about 100 pounds.
Do you remember when he beat the Knicks and then beat your Philadelphia 76ers and went to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Not really, no. I kind of
wearing a Hawks jersey then.
But
this is Perloff's selective memory rearing its ugly head.
New Yorkers don't forget that kind of thing.
Yeah, but Trae Young is like, he's kind of at a low moment now. Like, you're scared of Trae Young? I mean, I don't know.
No, you just would boo him mercilessly because of what he did to you.
Right. It's not about we are scared of him. It's we don't like him. He came to the Garden. He played fantastic. He played great. He's dancing on the Garden. He's bowing to the crowd. He says, I'm the next Reggie Miller. All that stuff is why Knicks fans don't like him.
Kind of feels to me like Knicks fans don't really like anybody.
Oh,
no, we don't.
Kaplan said EJ's not having it today.
No.
He's not messing around.
Well, I
actually
mean,
have had a rough morning.
how would you feel, by the way, if Trae Young during the playoffs signed on with a contender? Would that be okay with you?
No.
Come on.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't bring up that one.
No.
It's a bridge too far. EJ's head's going to pop off.
Arena Sabalenka and Quinn Wenzheng won at the Australian Open women's semifinals.
Peter Schwartz, thank you so much.
See you next week.
Okay.
One day.
Make it a
I
date.
forgot which day.
Very aggressive.
Keep us posted.
See you
this is on air. You could just said that in the break.
The update wasn't even over. He was like, see you next week.
He's like, I have to look at the schedule, but we're on air still, Peter. You can just say that afterward.
It's okay. Let everybody else know. It's one day next week. I forgot which day it is.
Signing autographs after the show today.
You don't even know which day to tune in.
I think it's Wednesday.
Do this. Tune in every day.
Yes,
and then it'll be a
absolutely.
surprise.
That's right.
That's just a good, philosophy no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, always listen. I just wanted to say I'll see you guys next week.
That's like anybody. All right, that's it for me. Back to you guys. I'm going to the bathroom. Like, yeah. You can
what I'm
say
doing.
that after the break.
Would you read my mind?
All right,
you
everybody,
want to
let
share
that
with the
visual
audience.
set in. By the way, you can watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Coming up, we hear from the Kelseys. We'll do that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Championship weekend approaching. Jim Harbaugh gets hired. There's a lot of stuff going on. However, got to clean something up from a couple days ago, which is my outrage over Jason Kelce's behavior in Buffalo during the divisional round. The audacity of this guy.
Who wants overweight shirtless guys drinking beer? How dare?
How dare you, sir, go to a Bills tailgate, take advantage of the hospitality of the Bills Mafia, and then go sit in a suite with all the celebrities and all the bougie celebrities and root for the Chiefs. There is something that should be illegal about that, especially in the great city of Orchard Park.
Oh, my gosh. 40 beers in, everything is allowed.
Okay, now, Jason Kelce obviously takes a lot to upstage Taylor Swift. He was able to do it with his drunken shenanigans during the divisional round. He talked about it on the New Heights podcast.
There was not enough cameras on the suite where you could see Kylie, though. I wanted to see her reaction to all of this so bad.
I'm not going to lie. I gave Kylie a heads up. The moment we got into the suite, I said, I'm taking my shirt off and I'm jumping out of that suite. And she said, Jason, don't you dare. I was like, hey, just letting you know what's happening. I'm not asking for permission. I'm doing this.
Once a Kelce man's determined, there's no stopping him.
And she was already telling me to be on my best behavior because we were meeting Taylor.
This is hilarious.
I was like, Kylie, when I met you, the first day I met you, I was blacked out drunk and fell asleep at the bar.
Wow. What a story.
You're telling me you don't like that man?
Well,
how could any human being not like Jason Kelce?
There is something to completely embarrassing yourself on the first meeting of someone who you know is going to be in your life for a long time, like blowing it with your, boyfriend or girlfriend's parents the first time. Just sort of get it out of the way, I'm not saying getting blackout drunk and jumping out of a window. I'm just saying there's something about, instead of the nice pleasantries and stuff, just sort of cut to the chase.
There is something about getting blackout drunk, taking off your shirt in front of 53 million viewers while you're in the box with Taylor Swift. I mean, he was already a legend. He can't do anything more to increase his legend status, but this seals it for life. He's done. He can walk away now. He's achieved everything a large man can do.
I don't know. Travis also told him in that clip that he needs to run for president. I'm not sure how the performance, the drunken, shirtless performance, all of a sudden equaled running for office to become the leader of the free world. And somehow in Travis Kelce's brain, that made sense.
I think we need to change direction with our politicians. Have more big party guys.
We need more tailgates. Fewer town halls, more tailgates.
Yeah, I would go through the crowd outside a Bills game and say, "Does anybody know anything about policy? You're in."
I mean, how do you think you get elected in upstate New
Kathy
York?
Hochul, by the way, our governor, it could jump into a flaming table. She's a gigantic Bills fan.
I know, but nobody would put the flames out. That's a problem.
What do you think the percentages of Bills fans who know the three branches of government?
Oh, stop. Elitist Jets fan? You think that those
Yeah, hey, Jets fan too. I don't care. We're talking about the Bills right now. I'm saying those people that were at Orchard Park, if you asked them.
Why don't you just say percentage of Americans?
That's true.
Three branches?
There's three.
There's three.
What's the third? I'm just kidding. How many people know the three branches of government? I would say, I think 70%.
That is high.
Ooh,
that is high to me.
That's sad if that's the case. I think geography is where America really falls short.
That's bad. That's probably 10%.
Yeah, that's worse.
Everyone knows it's the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Just kidding. That's something else. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Pilati. Thank you to Peter Schwartz, to Andrew Kaplan, Sweetos and Coffee Drinkers. See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.